All right, so it's going to record to the Zoom cloud, which means I should get emails once everything's said and done. And then we can just access the Google Cloud for all of this. You got good audio on my end?
Yeah. By the way, back one. Back. It's coffee. It's coffee. Back.
I got your message the other day. Hold on.
Back one. Back.
There we go. Sorry, Keystone just suddenly decided to call me. Figures I'm all the way away from that area and they want to call me. All right. So did you manage to get any of that research done or nah?
Yeah, I did. Pretty much it was the surface level first thing up in regards to somebody writing about it and pretty much explain things. So I guess I'm good enough for now.
Okay.
Good enough to at least fake it.
All right. Did you dig into Jackie H. Harris a little bit?
Oh, I didn't check. Yeah. Just the movie, not Jackie Harris.
Okay. So you'll see that there's a lot of tie-ins, but we'll get to all of that happy scrappy stuff. You got a Lumser on board today?
Since it could tie into everything rat and raving, I can let's see if it comes up. It was a cute little story that happened pretty much last week. We briefly talked about it. Let's see if it pulls it up on.
And you see the writer's strike got worse.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on that.
More Nintendo movies coming.
Yeah, everything is on hold right now in regards to the strikes.
Right, but now that SAG-AFTRA has joined, the Actors Guild is now in, but I hate to say it, I almost think that like the Actors Guild angle taken is kind of drowning out what the Writers Guild initially started. It's great that there's them, but they're kind of overshadowing what the writers are protesting about.
Pulled it up. All right, got that. That'll work. So the heartwarming kind of works, and if we rant about it, and folks watching at home, yes, we at least on my end we got our W container video. As of this recording, it will drop our video opening up our package. Will drop today, the 18th at 2:30. So as we're recording this, the video will drop. And for the sake of YouTube, trying to prevent YouTube yelling at us and all that, I collect the whole aspect of, is this a paid partnership? Yeah, whatever.
Maybe.
Probably eventually if we get enough commissions off our code link. So therefore, for the sake of pleasing all parties and whatever weird laws that are out there, sure, why not? It's paid partnership. So again, cover all bases where bases can be covered. And guess what? Yes, remove the plastic from the top, then remove the seal from everything. I thought it had a cup in it. It sounded like it had a plastic cup in it. Oh, there it is. Oh man, it's like cocaine, man.
Yeah, snort it. See what happens.
And they give you this little itty bitty cup. Pretty much, it almost looks. W, I'm not. W, if you're watching this, yes, I know it's. I'm not insulting you, but it's funny as shit. This is the scoop that they give everybody. This is pretty much the scoop. It's a little, it's like a teaspoon. Folks, do not snort any powdered energy drinks, whether it be G Fuel, Shift, or W Energy. Oh my God.
Snort everything.
Snort everything. Hyper, 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 hyper. So we're just going to start off with, in essence, one scoop in their official W cup, which we'll be using today. Drop in that beautiful powder. Probably be hitting it up again if it tastes right. And folks, for the flavor I got, because I am a fan of orange and cream type drinks, I got what they call the Calio cream, or the Calio cream flavor, which is pretty much orange and cream. Drop in mixing ball. And for the sake of everything, and because it is not just because it's Martinsburg and their water supply is like crap.
Crash. Yeah.
So somebody on my way to do laundry this past weekend was pretty much like, hey, I have this extra gallon of Deer Park purified, spring water. Do you want it? I went, sure, why not? So I don't want to say no to water. Fill it up. And put so the water doesn't spill all over. Let me put it like this. W even admits that, hey, it could still taste powdery and all that. And folks are all like, the few of you that do watch this shit, and say, hey, G Fuel doesn't taste powdery, or Swift doesn't taste, you know what? Either you're putting too much water in it, or you're that's number one. Number two, I've had G Fuel and I put it in the little powder packs in containers this size, and I still taste the powder. So have at it. So
Unless they got one of them things that's constantly spinning the drink, I don't see how it's not powdery.
this again, it has that little wire ball in it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think I was telling you in regards to this. I don't know how it managed to do that, but I guess I gotta drink it like this, or every time I drink, I gotta kind of do it on an angle so W's kind of viewable. I want to say more than a year ago, I put in, because I haven't been a subscriber for well over a year or several years. I, instead of getting the regular Loot Crate box, I got the Loot Crate DX, hoping for some better shit. And apparently it was just completely Wonder Woman themed for Women's Month. I'm not complaining about that. I just didn't know. And one of the things, just that I'm not a big fan of Wonder Woman. I think the character is a wonderful character, and for all she stands for and everything else. Just that, yeah, I'm not a big yeah, little the folks know that's the original aspect, and her original weakness is you had to, I think, bind her with the lasso of truth to make her obey.
Her creator was into bondage and S&M. Obviously, DC watered that down once they acquired the character.
But all in all, one of the things that they gave in the box was a mug or a cup similar to what I have in my hands, and it's Wonder Woman themed. So I have an extra one, and that's why I kind of wanted the stickers if they were still in stock, so I could put a sticker on that, and or put a sticker on our old reliable. So hopefully one of these days, if they get the stickers back in, do that, get a stack of stickers. And to me, I didn't really say it on the unboxing, unbagging, call it what you will. It's just that that's what surprises me with a lot of small, I won't say smaller, businesses, maybe like Dubby, Dungeon in a Box, and others. It's just that, how do you not realize your supply is low? When granted they're bigger companies, but how do you not know that, hey, I'm almost out of mugs, let's say. I'm down to the last 5 or 6 mugs. It's time to order some more. Since they take time to get here, let's do it now so we have enough in stock. Apparently, they don't have that type of logic. Like what, yeah, they're, again, big companies like Walmart, Target, Macy's, Solidar, and Harbor Freight. They realize they're running low on their product. They have that immediately. Let's get more into our brick and mortar stores or our warehouses so we could send the stuff out. But apparently, like I said, Dungeon in a Box has the same issue, because if I ordered an extra large skinny mini for a campaign that I have sitting here at the house, oh, you're going to have to wait until we get the order in. We ran out. And you weren't keeping control. You don't have any sense of inventory control. You should have that in your establishment. Some level. I can understand if it was like the computer industry or the electronics industry, like going back 2, if not 3 years ago, when there were parts and chips that were hard to come by. If you can understand that. I know, #rant. But now, yes, I'm stalling.
Why are we stalling?
I'm just saying we could say, people could say we're stalling because I didn't officially take a sip yet. So I do. Doesn't taste powdery. Tastes mostly orangey than creamy.
You got to fix
That's
the microphone because whenever you're talking, especially away from the PC, you sound very faint.
Oh, how do I sound now?
A little tinny.
I'm hitting the far end of the mic, and the mic is cranked up like really high on this.
Like right here where you're at now is perfect, but like the moment you put your head back or you look at something else, or it makes things interesting.
No, it has changed the microphone. What?
Yep, now your camera's gone.
Microphone has changed. What? Why? Your default mic has changed to Q8. Can you hear me now?
Nah, you're a little distorted.
Yeah. That's why we have a pre-show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, and it's only subjectable to our wonderful OnlyFans and whenever Chris posts the entire audio.
Yes, it's doing the.
Hey, there's a nightmare weekend in Richmond.
I am for the moment.
Yeah,
I am stopping. For the moment, I'm stopping the audio so I could check.
Okay.
And okay, that is. And I'm managed. Okay, I'm putting back the. All right. Is that better?
Yeah,
Can you
a little
lean
bit,
back?
yeah.
Is I'm leaning back, turning my head away. How do I sound?
It'll work.
Is it better?
Yeah, it's definitely better. It's not perfect by any shape, form, or means, but
The downside is the same cord I need to use to run the camera. I might have to find a way to get a secondary cord, because the same cord that takes me that allows me to, I don't want to jiggle it, that I use for or used for this mic is the same cord I need to use for my camera, and I don't have by any means a secondary cord. And it's the older school, if you could see, it's that type of connector.
yeah, early USB.
And so therefore, so I know I could get one on Amazon, and until I'm able to get one off of Amazon as a secondary card, but once I do, I'll be able to at least have this closer, or at least by my side. That way it's a closer mic for everything, but it's better than the potato that is my computer.
Better than nothing.
Right, it's better than, and audio wise, yeah, I can edit the audio for the most part and boost the audio in through Audacity. If I have the meter in front of me with the webcam and it's coming through fine, I could always see it, and folks at home, it could be just how Sasha's picking things up on her side, the internet connection will, or how Zoom is recording things, we'll see at some point. And hopefully at least this temporary fix is helps, but still we're looking for we're trying something that is better than a potato, and right now what I'm using is a better potato. So, and we again pre-show, either way, the pre-show. But if you guys didn't hear me well, I did take a sip of the mixture I put in here with the scoop provided from Dubby. It's more orangey than creamy. What if you had, meaning if you went to Walmart, picked up their orange and cream flavored water, it has that almost balanced mix of orange and cream. This is more orange than cream. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because I enjoy drinking like Mandarin orange when Walmart doesn't have the orange and cream stuff. So this is overall not that bad. It's almost like a light, or I won't say, compare it to lemon and lime or lemonade. It's almost like having a almost a weak lemonade type thing, or just enough balance that's not overpowering, too bitter. So I could tolerate. And by the way, folks, you don't have to choose W's orange Calio cream. They have like fruit punch and a bunch of other flavors that you could try, and they do have sample packs when they are in stock. And what I know Sasha can't drink W due to it having coffee in it. So I should be holding
Now we'll
it
see
like
how
this.
Swift turns out.
But
I gotta wait for my funds to recoup a little bit, because we had a little too much fun on vacation. So
if anything, you can didn't you said you contacted Swifty or whatever it was?
yeah, Swift, and they have stuff that doesn't have coffee in it, so I might be ordering some of that at some point. Just give it a try.
You got your own codes?
Just gotta watch
when you
my
signed
cards.
You got your own code with it, or do you need mine?
Oh, you signed up for through Swift too?
Yeah.
I think I got my own. But we can use yours.
The thing is, when I signed in, I was able to sign in. When I signed in through Swift, I was able to sign in through Dubby, so they might be owned by the same parent company.
That's what I've been
So-
trying to say all along. I think they're all part of the same group. You know what I mean?
Or have
think
different brand.
Yeah. Different brands. I even saw one the other day that is officially endorsed by Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I thought was kind of intriguing.
And folks out there, you have to figure this. Yeah, there's a lot of independent brands like RC. I'll say lower tier brands like RC Cola, and or if they're still around, Tab, and a lot of
Part of
regional.
Coke.
My bad, I forgot, but still, and you have a lot of regional brands like A Treat or, at least I don't know if they're still in business. We covered this like a couple of weeks ago. There could be regional brands of soda that are low tier, like there are here in the north. We have regards to like potato chips. We have Utz here in the northeast, or at least the Pennsylvania, West Virginia area and Virginia area. Florida, I think it's a different brand, but for the most part, the store brand soda that you buy at Martin's, Cash and Carry, Walmart, or whatever your local supermarket is pretty much either Coke or Pepsi.
Yep,
That's
pretty
all.
much. Sometimes they have a bit of a tinny taste to them. I think they tweak the ingredients just enough so it tastes slightly different. Because the store brands I've always found, especially if you get this really super cheap ones like from Dollar Tree, they all have a tinny Shasta Cola kind of taste to them.
Yeah,
Now there's a couple regional ones there, Shasta and Fego.
There's a lot of good Figo flavors that I wish I could have, but I try to keep my carbs as low as possible, being a type 2, and that's why I kind of like Dubby, because they sported that their carbs, they have like no carbs for their, and Swift has no carbs in regards to sugary drinks such as soda, regular soda, or Monster. Hell, drinking regular soda will give you less carbs than drinking freaking Monster. But
Yes. Monster. I'll occasionally take a 5-hour energy, but not all the time. Not with this old part of mine.
5-hour energy drink does not work for me. It lasts maybe about an hour, hour and a half at most. But then again, I haven't drank 5-hour energy drink in, let's see, the last time I went up to see a buddy of mine, which was maybe 11 years ago. So my immunity might be a little bit gone. I should say whatever immunity I had could be gone. So it could work. But then again, I drink stuff like Dubby.
Yeah, it's not a bad product range for people that have health concerns. Unless your health concern is you can't consume coffee.
Good point. But that's just one fellow's opinion. I won't say in regards to allergies or anything like that, but if you want to, it's why for a while I drank G Fuel, because I could get it at Sheetz, and it was like no sugar, no carbs, no nothing, and it was like 0 across the board. So I'm like, you know what, G Fuel, you're getting my money now, at least for the time being. W, you're getting my money when we have a chance. So folks, LCM podcast, and the website is w.gg, dubby.gg. So regards to it.
If you want to try it, use his code, help us out.
again, folks, they have like what they call sample packs that they could send you. That way you could try it. Yeah, I think there might be $5-10 for a 4 or 5 pack of these sample things that you can try. And you could use your own containers, whether it be something like this or a water bottle or whatever your favorite container might be.
You know.
And after everything, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody tries to take away our spot, our sponsor.
Yeah. Our sponsor.
Our
Mean
sponsor
sponsor.
that our sponsor that has yet to, I won't say pay us, but we have yet to earn money through them for them to pay us. So
Yes. Indeed.
with a lot to cover this week, we might be not giving that particular person any type of freaking attention.
No. No. There's really no point. They're a bit of a,
Right.
they're just a bully, and they're trying to cow us into doing things that we're not gonna do. Because we are bigger and better than them. So fuck them.
Yeah,
Tell
not to mention, if you look at some of their social media,
Yeah.
they are punching down because at least on Facebook they have over 1,000 followers, at least there. Meaning they probably have on a weekly or whenever they post up have at minimum anywhere from 50 to 100 people engaging their post or seeing their post, depending on how the algorithms are working for those people. Both Sasha and I know about the Facebook algorithms because we see it happen ourselves with our pages. So,
Yep.
and because we kind of know that you are watching us in regards to whatever platform this is on, yeah, we're keeping, in essence, you could tell we're keeping your name out of our mouths. And if you comment and everything else, you're helping our algorithms and you're in essence calling yourself out.
Yeah.
Because we haven't said your name on the audio side or the video side. You comment.
Nope.
So it could be, at least on my side, any number of the dozen or several dozen people that may watch this video.
Yep. That all depends on where it too is posted, because there's some places that bang off a lot better than YouTube.
Right now, I have, even though I have a account on Rumble, I have yet to, there's a few things posted up to it. I haven't updated in like a month. I should. I just haven't. I should update it. But who knows? Maybe I'll wander up to the library later after we're done here and put something up, or at least some of the full length episodes there. That way I'm touching it and seeing how it goes. I know Sasha probably doesn't like or wants to do Rumble, but still,
Rumble.
Rumble.
What is that? I haven't even heard of it yet. I'm so out of it.
It's pretty much the YouTube competitor. It's an up and coming. It's supposed to be a little bit. The way Kick is Twitch's competitor, Rumble is YouTube's competitor, whereas Daily Motion is, to a lot of folks, is just complete garbage. But a lot of folks who look at Rumble, they consider it the far right platform, because a lot of folks that are kicked off of, or supposedly kicked off of here on YouTube, go to Rumble, or as of right now, a lot of folks here on YouTube or the larger channels are jumping ship from YouTube to Rumble because YouTube has the nasty habit of, one, not promoting a lot of content, not pushing smaller creators, not, not to mention it's done it to large creators too. It's like, hey, guess what? You got a strike on your channel. Why? And YouTube is like, we're not going to tell you why. What did I do so I could change that or fix it so I don't do it again? We're not telling you diddly squat. Why should we tell you? Why? What did I do wrong? No, you guys. Oh, by the way, another strike. Another strike. What I do? We're not telling you. And there was a few channels that got lawyers involved and brought YouTube to court, won their cases, and YouTube was still like, yeah, they got a strike, we put it there, but we're not going to say what. So a lot of folks are like, you know what? If you want to do that, we're going to Rumble. We're going to Rumble. And the way for smaller creators like me and Sasha, for the folks at home, whereas YouTube is like, oh, you need X, Y, and Z. Now it's A, B, in order to be a partner on this platform. Now you have to do A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, or 5, 8, 5, 6, 7, or in order to qualify for a partnership. Rumble, it's just right off the bat. You just got to get the views. You just got to get the views. You just got to get the views. And so I signed up. It's just a matter of putting up content to Rumble, getting the views, and see what gains traction.
I'm looking at this now.
I know it seems a lot of far right. What?
I'm just curious. That's all.
A lot of what a lot of channels are saying, even some of the ones that might be closer center, are encouraging even creators like you, Sasha, and me going over that might be more center or more of the geeky oriented type of channels, going over to Rumble. That way we kind of, I won't say muddy the waters, and so, or dilute the fact that I know it sounds kind of far right. It's like, that way it becomes more diversified, less far right, and that way Rumble has more options than just the so-called conspiracy theory, far right conspiracy theorists on Rumble. So it's just another spot for me to put clips and other stuff. So I know this upcoming Saturday, I think it's like the 22nd or something, when I do the walkthrough with the library Comic-Con, I'll probably post it up on it's this, I think it's this Saturday. Yeah, this Saturday. I'll post it up on the YouTube channel and on Rumble. That way there's more stuff there too.
Oh,
What?
I'm just taking a look at some of the stuff that's on here. All right. So if you've got a topic for Lumser, I'm bored, we can go ahead and start that and get that underway and get the episode officially rolling.
By the way, ding, 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 ding.
Whenever you're ready.
Mm-hmm. And I still have yet to buy the H for this thing.
You should be able to just go to like Joann's or something and get it, or a Hobby Lobby. Heaven forbid.
Or Tractor Supply.
That
I have
works too.
one. I have a Tractor Supply on the way to work. I'll check there like
Buy a
tomorrow, see how
packet
much it
of
costs.
cheap kid alphabet like letters, and you just, you know, attach it and then glue it on, or even use a magnet on it if you don't want to make it permanent.
This ain't metal.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You can put a magnet on the other side, so
Yeah,
it
just
adheres.
yeah. Where did this take place? Ah,
Ah, crap, he has notes.
notes.
Instead of crap, he has notes.
Notes. Back, Sasha. I forgot notes.
Research? What's that?
Research. Jackie. Only magic can defeat
You never
magic.
studied.
You never learn, do you?
That was more a Ray reference from Ghostbusters. You never studied.
Never studied.
You ready?
Lion face.
Lion
Lemon
face.
face. Lemon face. And if you believe I'm actually making a lemon face.
Lumser, I'm bored. What plaything do you have for me today?
Something out of the SK system, ma'am. And
Jesus, them guys again?
yes. And oddly, it's not Florida. It is
It's never
Texas.
Florida anymore, is it?
It's spreading. It's pretty much a heartwarming tale out of Texas, ma'am.
Oh, deep in the heart of Texas.
Brought to you in part, not brought to you in part by W Energy.
We only
pretty
got
much,
two things in Texas: steers and queers.
Even though this story is maybe about a week old or longer, depending on when you listen to this, but I saw it and I was like, you know what, last minute, why not? It's a heartwarming tale. A video went viral on through TikTok and eventually Facebook and the rest of everything about this kid approaching a Ring camera, going door for door, not knocking this kid, the cojones on him, the spine on him, the courage that he did or showed to do this is, what made it heartwarming. And what he did was he was going from door to door looking for friends. And he, at this Ring doorbell, the guy answering, he's like, can I help you? What's going on? He's like, and this kid pretty much asked, like, do you have any kids, my age? I'm like 11, 12 years old, 11 years old. And the guy said, I'm sorry, I only got like an 18-month daughter, and she's nowhere near your age. It's like, I think he said, from what I remember the video, the guy said that, hey, there's a couple of kids that might be your age down the block, and the kid sadly says, I know about those kids. They're no longer my friends. They turned out to be bullies and manipulators and so forth and so on. So I ended my friendship with that. I'm just looking for new friends. And it's just that, heartwarming tale of him just wanting to. His statement was, this is his words. I just wanted to see if you knew any kids around 11 or 12, maybe. The boy could be heard said it on the video. I need some friends, like, really bad. And they carried on. It's like, I'm just reading from the article from USA Today. Since everything went viral, it says here the kid came out that this kid, I'm not going to put his name because he's a minor, but according to the USA Today article, he's undergone a series of diagnoses, including autism, oppressional defiant disorder, bipolar disorder, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and others. This is coming from his mom. So a lot of people set up a GoFundMe for this kid in regards to him for a college fund. So if he wants him and the family want to go to like Disneyland or something like that, they have the funds to do it because today's day and age. And from what the kid has stated, that he wants to pretty much donate a bunch of this money for other folks, even though it's donating for him. It says here, it's like the pay when he initially posted up the TikTok, people suggesting doing something for him. So the guy who owns the Ring camera, so he said him and his wife set up a GoFundMe. The page raised over $37K for this kid to go towards whatever he wants, including a gaming setup, school clothes, amusement park tickets. I mean, he just wants the kid to have a good time and whatever they need to help him out. And there was no malice, no anything else, just people wanting to show their support that he's not alone, and just this heartfelt tale. And he met him. It's this one. Since his face is not shown, I'll at least put it up here on video. That's the owner of the doorbell Ring camera, just giving the kid a hug, just showing support, no malice, no nothing. And what a lot of folks have said this kid's brave. Hey, he realized that he was in a bad spot with his former friends, so he decided, you know what, I'm done with those folks. I need new friends bad. And so going door to door is that I'm putting myself out there for these new friendships. So why not? And so why not have a heartwarming tale?
Yep, we can do that every once in a while.
And
better than floating submarines.
Right. Or cruise
Canadian
ships
wildfires.
Canadian wildfire. Or memes of cruise ships using Nintendo DSs for their steering wheels.
Hey, honestly, at least it's Nintendo and not Logitech.
Either way, at least this time the boat, the seafaring or ocean faring vessel is above water, not below. Wait.
Don't give them any ideas.
No, no. My brain went. It's like, wait a minute. The one that went underwater went to see a boat that pretty much got hit by or hit a iceberg. Oh, the sheer irony.
And yet again, you can go to this Titanic museum and spend $30 instead of $250,000 and not die.
So many tourist traps that are like that, but you gotta love some
literal
tourist traps.
literal tourist traps. No, the world we live in, Lumser, the world we live in. Anyways, this is where we would submit or put in our epic polls so whenever I get around to editing this one, I can insert our audio intro and yeah. So where do you want to go next after the dramatic calls? You just want to rip the Band-Aid off and be done with it, or
what's Band-Aid?
The big Band-Aid, or do you want to save it for the end? So we might get more views if we wait until the end.
Let's wait for the Band-Aid. Do you want to talk about the SAG stuff, or do you want to
just do a brief update on SAG? I'll give us a re-intro, just on the off chance that we have new listeners looking for drama. So they know what they're looking for and talking to.
folks out there, this pretty much the SAG strike started.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me
Oh.
introduce us properly, because
Oh,
you never know. We
sorry.
might have a new listener. I mean, we do have, and I've looked through all of my videos, but for the last, let me say, about 10 or 15 videos that I've posted, there's always been two dislikes on them. So we have some super fans that I think are just coming in and disliking anything that they can dislike. So on the off chance they haven't been formally introduced, or we're getting some new viewers, we'll do like a regular intro. So, anyways, as you may have heard from our audio opening, you are presently listening to Sasha After Dark, the podcast of darkness, starring yours truly, Sasha Constantine Monroe, Pennsylvania's most hated trans pan podcaster and YouTuber, as well as horror hostess. And immediately, not beside me, but several states over, I have my good buddy Christopher Lumser, not only the Long Coat Mafia podcast, which if you're not listening to them, you really need to be listening to them.
Yes, the internet's
course,
most hated.
show.
Oh, sorry. AKA the internet's most hated mafia themed geek podcast, known by many lazy people who do not wish to watch or listen to us. A manifesto for mass shooters.
And he's also collectively known as the Reverend Godfather. And on our show, we just call him the Martinsburg Madman, because you got to be a madman to live in Martinsburg.
Yeah, you got to have something wrong with you to live in Dirty Burg.
That's okay. We can get a 2x4, hit you across the head a few times. I think you'll fit in right naturally. It's like that episode of Beavis and Butthead, the newer ones, where Butthead beats the crap out of him, so he sounds more old. Oh, my back. Oh, my shoulder. Yeah, that worked.
Oh,
Anyway.
that all in all, that means I'm going to have good material when I see good old mutual friend of ours, Dan, this weekend. He's going to be at the library Comic-Con. It's like, who are you? Why are you here? Did they have to blackmail you to come here?
Good old Dan knows.
He's got thank God he's got a sense of humor.
He'll go anywhere to sell his wares, even where he's not wanted.
Right. We're not knocking Dan at all.
No. He's a brilliant artist, a funny guy, great writer. He's just not mainstream, nor are we.
No, nor are we.
We're Z-level, like Charlie Sheen, the Insane Clown Posse. That's fine to be. But anyways, for topics today, we got a few. Everybody's blabbing, of course, about Deadpool 3, because we've gotten all kinds of more set photos, the whole fight sequence with Deadpool and Wolverine. So everybody's ecstatic to see that, which is kind of cool, because like behind them, if you're paying close attention to the studio setup, is like a destroyed and damaged 20th Century Fox logo. Like, how when the movie would open up, you have that big giant statue, it's all crumbled and broken up in the background. So they're really going full bore with this being the 20th Century Fox universe. Because it's already been stated that what's his name? The one Chris that plays Captain America.
Chris Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans is back, but he ain't playing Captain America. He's playing what's his name from Fantastic Four? Human Torch.
Yeah. So that should be
for that. We got Wanda from the standard MCU, but she's not playing the main MCU version of Wanda. You got the chick who played Jean Grey in the X-Men movies showing up as like the cosmically powered Dark Phoenix. Rumor has it we might get one of my wishes, Thomas Jane's Punisher. Please. Doctor Doom from the original Fantastic Four movies may show up. And then there's a couple other oddball ones that they've been talking about. I'm kind of hyped to see this. You got Daredevil already confirmed with Ben Affleck, and you have what's her name for Elektra, and we may get our Ian McKellen, good old Professor X, and we may get the other guy who did Professor X as the younger one, which would be kind of cool because the joke was already made in previous movies. We've already set it up. So
That's the thing. If and when filming actually continues, because as of this recording, the SAG strike started maybe 6 days ago, less than 6 days ago, and it's still going strong. A lot of folks are like, why should we hear the talk about millionaires complaining about millionaires?
Because some of those millionaires are billionaires, and then you got somebody who's making a drop in the bucket.
It's as I explained to somebody, that the person that said that, it's that you don't get it. A lot of these so-called millionaires that are big names, whether Jack Black's, Jennifer Lawrence, Keanu Reeves, et cetera, started out, Bryan Cranston, they all started out doing commercials and bit parts and small roles and extras. So you don't know who is going to be the next big name 5, 10, 15 years down the road. That's number one. Number two, if you're paying attention, what these big studios want to do is get this extra or this background player, which they can do to a big, if they're going to do it to an extra, they could do it to a big name star. Meaning if Jack Black has a daily rate, meaning let's say his daily rate is $25,000 just to show up for the day for a cameo in the movie. What any studio can do, because they said this in regards to background players, they could go in, scan that person, pay them for one day, and immediately use their image indefinitely, and never pay that person again. So that person, in essence, could become the next Bryan Cranston, Jennifer Lawrence, or whomever, and they're living in a trailer park in Kentucky, poor as hell, as a waitress. Meanwhile, that AI scanned image is doing all the acting for them for nothing. And the studios are making more and more money. And one of my examples to this person was, look at what she went through aside. But I have a lot of respect for this former child actress, Jeanette McCurdy, and what she went through with everything. But if you read her book, which I recommend folks getting and reading, is that she started out as a child, not just a child actress, but she started out in commercials, working her way up. It wasn't until she landed a few gigs and got recognized by Nickelodeon that she, in essence, made it big time. Granted, right now she's probably making more money with the book than anything else. I have respect for her, and I understand she went through a lot of trauma and everything else. And if the book made her heal or helped her heal along with therapy and everything else, that is wonderful for her. Just that she's an example. If it wasn't for those commercials, it wasn't for those bit parts, she would not have become a celebrity with iCarly and Sam and Cat. Same thing, again, could be said for anybody that is on TV or anybody. Look at the folks from Mad TV and in Living Color. We wouldn't have had Jim Carrey and the wonderful other cast from who was in Django. He was a in Living Color alum.
Mhm.
Jamie Foxx, I think his name was. He was a Living Color alum. These were, in essence, no-name comedian and actors doing this. And what, in essence, a studio like Fox, Disney, Sony, Warner Brothers will pay this unknown actor $500 for the day. We'll make millions, billions, if not trillions, on for the rest of their career. This image can never age, never grow old. We can make this person look younger. If this person, we need a part to be younger, we can make a person look older. If we need an older person, so why? The only true actors that we would need is voice actors, and that's what SAG is fighting for. And one other person in regards to the Writers Guild has come up and it's like, oh, how dare you support, the Writers Guild, they're making 68K at the minimum a year. Yeah, it's California, not Tennessee or West Virginia, where 68K is a hell of a lot of money. It's upper middle class. 68K in California is like 68K in New York City. You're going to be the equivalent of 12,000 a year or less in those states. And politics aside, whether it's because it's a blue state or not, whatever, it's still places where rent for a studio apartment can, or smaller, can be $2K a month, if not more. So yeah, they're fighting
the living more.
Yeah, and not to mention there was the TikTok that went viral again of someone who starred in Orange is the New Black, of her royalties from overseas, and the envelope or the letter she shared or the video that was the whole total was $27 and change, but when you look stilled it, some were 3 cents, some were 2 cents, some were a penny, some were nothing at all. And this was not one page single space. This was like 2 or 3 pages single spaced from overseas, and she made $27 and change. And depending on where you're living, that isn't even gas money.
Exactly. And that's what's going on. I mean, right now the Actors Guild has joined in. So a lot of big productions, possibly Deadpool 3. I haven't heard anything yet.
Deadpool 3 has grinded to a stop. A lot of
Beyond Spider-Verse has definitely been stopped. So for those of you who were expecting a March opening for the most recent films part 2, you're probably going to be waiting longer, because it has already been announced by Sony that they had that delayed indefinitely until whatever resolution is reached.
And let me put it like this, all you freaks and geeks out there, and I say that with kindness, for the most part, your favorite conventions out there, your pop culture, your Comic-Cons that will have a celebrity guest, I want to say a good 8, if not 9 out of 10 of these conventions, those celebrities will show up, because what SAG has put out is as the actors or actresses that are SAG members are allowed to go to these events as long as they're not promoting any current production. Meaning, let's take I don't know how it might translate to, let's say, Jack Black in Super Mario Brothers movie, but if it's something like they did in the past, like Gigi, I'm probably mispronouncing her name, Gigi Edgley. She played a character on Farscape. She could go to any convention representing that character. She's not promoting Farscape. She's known for that character.
Right.
Or
they can't promote anything that's in active production at the moment. Right.
And a lot of folks that are in support, like TikToker, Props to History. From what I've heard, he's a full supporter of the SGA and the Writers Guild strike. he put out on his TikTok that he was offered $4,000 a week to be a scab. And what SAG and the Writers Guild both have come out and said, saying, if you are a scab, you cannot be ever be a member of the Writers Guild or SAG ever, because you're a scab. You can't.
And that
So
can stop you from being in a lot of productions, and a lot of people don't realize
Right.
that.
but for the most part, it right now, if someone like Mark Byrne, Wesley, or
They still got to play it careful though.
I'm true, they have to. I'm just saying, if they have to play it careful, or word it that this is not a union job or anything like that. They have to word things very carefully in their productions. But I'm just using folks like them. Nothing against Mark Byrne, David, like EPG Films or them, but they use a lot of local act folks like you and me in their productions. So that's nothing wrong with that. You still have the independent creators, but even they might have to watch themselves in regards to being hit up in regards to these major productions and major companies, whether it be Netflix, Disney, Hulu, Fox, HBO, because it could hurt their career in the long term, because if they take the money and sign these contracts, being a scab, they cannot be the next Steven Spielberg. They cannot be the next Jack Black or Keanu Reeves or Jennifer Lawrence. They can't be that because they became a scab for content for these big studio films.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, it has kind of ceased a lot of productions. So one of the biggest takeaway is, and this is something I always want to point out to people when these strikes happen, don't take it out on the actors and actresses because your favorite production isn't getting a new episode or there isn't a new movie being currently worked on. That's the reason why they're on strike, so they can get their better working conditions, they can get the pay that they're asking for, and it's nothing to be mad at them about.
And a lot of these big celebrities are not fighting just for better royalties and all that. They're fighting it for the smaller folk, the up and comers. They're doing it for them because they have the loudest voice. And not to mention, there has been numerous reports that have come out for productions on for Netflix, sometimes maybe even Disney Plus and other streaming services, where the workday for the crew is not 10 hours, it's not 12 hours, it's 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, if not longer. And these men and women, or whatever they wish to identify as, to be fair, that is harmful for their physical selves and possibly their mental selves. Yep. Because some of these folks might want to see their kids, their families, their partners, and they're not getting a chance to do that. If they do get a chance to go home, they are so exhausted, they collapse, and only to wake up maybe an hour or two later to go back and do it again. So it's only going to hurt in the short term. And there are, even the folks at the Writers Guild have said, we have safety nets in place to help us. I'm sure SAG has the same type of safety nets. Yes, it's a troublesome. Yes, you're going to see scabs. It's not going to be the same content out there. Folks, look at the smaller creators. YouTube, the smaller creators is a thing. Rumble is a thing. Twitch and Kick are a thing.
Yep. Yeah. At the end of the day, also, if you really want to voice your angry opinions, go to them studio execs that are making billions and lounging around on their yacht. Hit them up. Hit the studios up. Don't get mad at the actor or the writer who's not producing for the show right now or the movie. Hit up the studio behind it and say, hey, make sure these guys get fair pay, because we're not going to watch anything you guys put out until that's taken care of. And if you need entertainment in the interim, Chris is 100% correct. This is a great time for small creators. This is a great time for small time YouTubers, podcasters, content creators. You know, you're not really going against the union unless you are part of the union now. But even then, you know, you're self-creating, you're self-promoting, you're self-doing this on your own. Make your brand.
And it's not just going to YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Twitch. Visit your local pop culture or comic cons, because sometimes or even your local horror cons
or your local community theater. You know, a lot of local community theaters do stuff. If you really want to help support writers and things of that nature, I know a few. And granted, they're not movies that are actively in production; they're movies that have already been done. But my good buddy John Paul Checkett out of Carlisle, PA, once a month, because he writes for horror magazines like Scream and a couple other ones that are out there. Not only that, but he's also a psychologist. He has this thing called Terror Time and Talk up at Miss Ruth's in Carlisle. And I try to go when I can, and it's always got this very lively, you know, talk at the beginning where he literally crafts a scenario, you know, basically talks about the film in detail. And it's not just facts, but the psychological aspects of it and why this film is a good example of a horror film now. Like we watched the original The Strangers this past Saturday, and that was a blast. Because we all talked about it, because it's a film that was hated when it first came out, but now it's absolutely loved and adored because it's very nihilistic. And you know, John Paul gets into the nuts and bolts of that from a psychological aspect as well as from an audience aspect, and things that you wouldn't even consider, you know, when you're watching it for the first time. He'll bring that up so you'll have a perspective to look at the end. And so check out stuff like that. Hit up your local community theaters. I'm quite sure you have a local community theater you can go to. If you haven't been to your community theater, maybe it's time. Libraries are still a thing, you know. And
like I stated, right now we have a library Comic-Con happening here in Martinsburg. There's library Comic-Cons and pop culture shows happening throughout America. And the reason why I brought up pop culture shows or local horror shows or local independent show pop culture things is because sometimes independent filmmakers do have booths at these events. And you're gonna, for every one or two or three stuff that's not up to par, you're gonna have 5 or 6 that are diamonds in the rough. And they're there. You just have to show them support. You have to take a chance on them, and good chance that is where you're going to find the nicest folks, the nicest producers, and they're going to be the most grateful motherfuckers on the planet for the most part.
And a lot of them are free, you know. So there's some of them that you can go to for super free. Some of them you can go to for super cheap, like Retro Pop and Comic Con that's going to be up in Harrisburg in August. I know I'm going to be there. I know Lumser's going to be there because we're kidnapping your ass. But at the end of the day, I mean, they always get decent guests. And yes, if you do spend a lot of money on a con ticket, just know the more money that you spend, the bigger names you're going to get to meet and interact with. But honestly, I like the smaller free ones and the cheap ones like Retro Pop and Comic Con. Simply because, you know, 4-State Comic-Con in and of itself is homegrown, and there's a lot of local YouTubers, cosplayers, filmmakers, podcasters, the works that are there. Like Camp Nightmare was at the most recent one. I got to know those guys. They're really cool, laid back bunch of guys. So yeah, check them out. Go out, see this type of stuff. Go take in a local show. If you got a mom and pop theater that runs second or third run movies, go and watch it. I just watched Jaws again recently over at Carlisle Theater because all weekend long they were playing it. There are some films that you just have to see in 35 millimeter. Some of the drive-ins out there are doing revivals. If you're familiar with the Mahoning upstate PA, You got Turtles coming up. I want to say Turtles is this weekend, which would be the weekend of the 21st on Saturday. You get to see both Turtles movies. They have, I want to say, 3 of the suit voice actors present, and plus an artist with an exclusive poster who has done comic art for the Turtle comics for ages. So I would say, hey, check that type of stuff out. You'd be surprised what you can find in your own backyard or within reasonable driving distance.
Speaking of Mahoning Drive-In Theater, granted, I used to live in that area, so please do not hold that against me, folks. But they recently had a trauma festival there too, and I know trauma was up there a couple, I want to say a week or two ago, or a few weeks ago, depending on when that was official. I just remember seeing
they've been kicked off YouTube.
Yeah, they got taken off of YouTube. I just remember seeing Lloyd Kaufman's, posting up, not just about him, the trauma being taken off YouTube, just that at Mahoning for a trauma movie festival thing there. So just wanted to bring it up. And one of these days I will meet him again before he passes, and I'll get my final countdown poster signed. So
sounds like a plan. But since we were kind of lightly on the topic of Marvel and discussing Deadpool, then we also kind of touched on how Beyond Spider-Verse is delayed because of the writer's strike. Another thing that's going on big, kind of semi-related to the MCU, good old Chris Hemsworth is actually going to be showing up in the next Transformers movie. And I know a lot of people were like, well, Rise of the Beasts didn't do all that well. And no, it didn't, but it wasn't unsuccessful. But basically, Hasbro, and I believe it's Paramount, are wanting to dive more into the origins of certain characters. So they're going to do a younger Optimus Prime story. I'm hoping it kind of focuses on some of the old IDW comics. So that would be kind of cool. But Chris Hemsworth is going to do the voice of young Prime. Because you got to figure Peter Cullen is pushing what, 90 now, and he has done that voice since 84. That is a long history for someone of his age. And don't get me wrong, the guy who's in Resident Alien and also Tucker and Dale, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he has done like Optimus's voice in Earthspark. And he's spot on. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but it's not the original. Some of these original voice actors aren't going to be with us forever. And so it's nice to see that they're introducing younger versions of the character and trying to get more people into the role. And I think, it's going to be an interesting flick, because basically, having a younger Prime, and if they focus on the IDW story, you could probably see how Prime and Megatron were once friends, and that basically the Decepticon philosophy is the same as the Autobots when it came to the Cybertronian Senate, but Megatron was the extremist, Optimus was more the diplomat, and so that could be really interesting. I'm kind of excited for it because Transformers and Chris Hemsworth, but that's just me.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fans like, "Oh, it's not the original voice actor," yada yada yada. Yeah, if you go by the at least original cartoon, Prime was not the Optimus was not the Optimus we know him. Even the original cartoon, he was a completely different person. He got injured and he got rebuilt and redone and became Prime. So the legendary Prime that we all know and love.
By Alpha Trion, credit where credit's due.
Right. I just but it'd be nice to see that history.
Because clearly, I'm not a nerd or anything when it comes to this stuff.
But it'd be nice to see if depends on what version or how they write the script and how they take the story. If they're going that route, yeah, Chris Hemsworth fits. And when he finally becomes the Optimus that we all know and love, have the original voice come in as a cameo to do that rough voice, or still use Chris Hemsworth, but folks could explain or write off is the reason why Optimus now sounds so gruff, so wise, is because he had all these years, centuries, eons of fighting and warring with the Decepticons that he
Well,
sounds
he
so
started out as, at least in the IDW comics, he was kind of a data clerk for the law enforcement of Cybertron. And that's what kind of led to him becoming Prime. Because he started to see that there was a lot of corruption in the Senate. Because like a lot of the Transformers that only have one eye, a lot of people don't realize this, but they get a whole head transplant when you're punished and you go through the criminal system. And he noticed that a lot of people that were opposing Senate and opposing some of their views were getting locked up and getting that surgery to become the one-eyed freaks. And that's how you wound up with characters such as like Shockwave. Say the helicopter guy with the one eye out with Skids on the Autobot side. I think I could be wrong. I know somebody screeching at me. But yeah, so that's why a lot of Transformers, you'll see they only have that monocle kind of eye thing going on with their heads, because it was like a very corrupt surgery. They would give them hooks for hands and one eye, and that was it. But I hope that with this story that it kind of dovetails with like a Megatron origin, because if they were to make a Megatron origin movie, that would be like the perfect time. Release the Prime one and then do the Megatron, but make sure you show bits and pieces of Megatron in it, so you can see the rise of him being a miner on Kaon, and the Senate being more or less, no, you guys don't deserve, even though you're mining all the Energon, you don't deserve but barely 1% of everything you mine. So there's a whole rebellion over that. And of course, Megatron got locked up and forced into gladiatorial combat. And from that, he slowly started to recruit people to his side to kind of oppose the Senate and their corruption. And you can kind of see why he became what he became. And I think, in my opinion, that would make the best story. If you get a chance, find the comic books from IDW. It's intense. Yes, I'm a dork. Get over it. So with that, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's a good idea, like doing an origins kind of thing?
I think it could be a good idea. I'll wait for the trailer. I'll wait for what comes out eventually, whenever that might be. And because right now, yes, it's a good idea, but it all depends on
A writer's strike.
Not just so much the writer's strike, but how the studios take it, how the writers want to take it, how the director wants to take it, because because a writer could have one view, the director could have a different view, and the studios have completely different view, not to mention Hasbro's involved. So you're going to have a fourth view in regards to this, and they could all pretty much fuck shit up in regards to the end. And whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, we won't know until it actually either comes out or we see more to develop. So I'm going to hold my opinion, other than I'm interested to see what comes out, because I don't know. And without all the information, other than we're trying to tap Chris Hemsworth for this, and we have this idea.
Oh no, he's already confirmed.
I'm just saying we tapped Chris Hemsworth for this, and we just have to get everything else finalized. Now, how many times, Sasha, how many times have we heard, yes, this actor or actress is confirmed for this project?
And then you don't see him.
And it's like 3 years later, 4 years later, the movie never comes out, or we could have a whole aspect of a Batwoman scenario where everything's pretty much filmed and done, and it's pretty much, we're just going to put this right back on the nice little shelf, and no one's going to see it
Eventually,
ever.
Warner Brothers is going to drop Batgirl. It's going to happen. There is no ands, ifs, or but there. It's going to happen.
But who knows? But it's not the first time. Admit that.
No.
It's not the first time that studios have done that shit. But that's the
So,
point. I'm gonna have to wait.
and again, everything we talk about here, you got to figure again that writer's strike and things of that nature are going to cause things to go a little astray. And one of the other projects that's kind of caught my eye, and I know you kind of caught wind a little bit of it, but Disney has already, basically announced a live action director, a director for the upcoming kiddie show to a movie. So if you remember the good old Disney afternoons, this was one of the more adult ones. Kenneth Branagh, I don't know how to say his name, but he's going to be directing Gargoyles when they do the live action adaptation of that, and that's been announced. So I think Kenneth is a good fit because Kenneth did the Thor adaptation, and I'm going to be honest with you, when it comes to doing a Gargoyles interpretation to live action, you want to get somebody with kind of like a Shakespearean background doing the whole thing with that show, because at the end of the day, there is a lot of Shakespeare that drops in. Like Puck's a major character as the seasons went on. And even Demona or Desdemona, if you're familiar with reading a lot of Shakespeare, dips into that a little bit. So as a result, it's going to be intriguing because Kenneth Branagh is a good choice. Now, nothing on casting, but yeah, if I was going to pick anybody to direct it, it would be him.
You might have a good director. It's just again casting, how things fall, how the writers want to handle things. Because again, you could have a wonderful director, you could have a great cast, but if you have writers that don't give a shit about the lore, the anything else, yeah, you might have a great cast, you might have a great director, but you're still going to have a turd of a project. And as the saying goes, you could polish a turd, but you're still going to have you still have a turd, just that it's polished. So, and there's been many times
what's his name still young enough or looks young enough to play the role of Lucius Fox? Because if so, that would be awesome. The guy from Star Trek: The Next Generation, number
one. Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah.
If they're doing it, they could dye his hair, but they could make Fox an older rich person. Either way, they could do it. The whole thing was done so well. The original cartoon, it's probably on Disney Plus, Gargoyles, yes, if they didn't remove it. But folks, if you haven't watched,
got a continuation that recently that's in comics. I think it's Boom who's doing it. And it basically skips that really stupid last season and throws that out the window and picks it up from the season before that. And it's got a real good through line. So if you're reading comics or you're into comics, that's one to look forward to. So I think it's Boom Studio. I might be wrong.
But still, the original, you have to figure Gargoyles came out when? 90s? The early 90s, early mid 90s?
Yeah.
You have to figure, folks, that during this time you had Gargoyles and the X-Men come out, and these two cartoons were really good and real for their time, really strong cartoons that hit hard topics, I mean, for what they were, they took things to a whole new level where, granted, Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, DuckTales were on a level. Somehow Gargoyles and X-Men were somehow a step higher. They were on a completely different level. So that's just one fellow's opinion.
And all I know is when it comes to casting Goliath, I don't care who you have in the rubber suit, but Keith David had better do the voice again. Because Keith David has that right timbre and tone. And yes, that is the same Keith David that played Childs in The Thing.
And the same Keith David that plays the president in Rick and Morty.
Yep.
And he's a chill dude too. He's a chill dude too.
I don't understand. He's really cool. Even though he always plays like these intense characters. So since we talked about like remakes, more or less, or even an adaptation, which would be more of a more fitting stuff. You had mentioned the other day that they're talking about doing a Return of the Living Dead
Yeah.
reboot, but they're going to build off the existing franchise. Did you find anything more about that?
I was while you were going on your hashtag rant. I was looking over the article. Other than there's a important article. Oh, reload. That I picked up. It's like how. It's like they. Where was that line? They were talking. It's like our reboot of Return of the Living Dead will expand the existing world created by the original 5 films. Like my thought is how
The original
the
5, so they're
the
including those
original
last 2, Rave to the
yeah
Grave.
they're in Necropolis and Cradle to Grave. They're including those 2. Other than the barrel that had the gas and the zombies in it, the barrel, that's the only connective stuff that was at least in the first 3 movies.
Well, the first
Other
2
than
had a
that,
lot of the same actors and actresses in it, if you recall.
yeah, the
Because the
first 2
guys who
had the same.
guessed in the first one, yeah.
The first 2 movies had pretty much the same 2 guys in it that get gassed, but other than that, they had no. The 2 guys and the barrel that says if found, call the army at 1-800, whatever it was. But beyond that, there was no connection between the first and the second film, and there was no connection between the first, second to the third, other than the barrel that had the gas, or the gas with the zombie in it. That's it. How do you what universe? There was no universe to begin with. That's my question. Just that
Right.
someone
It's kind of like
decided.
the Leprechaun movies. There's no real franchise except for the first one and Leprechaun Returns, when that
Yeah,
was
it's like
done
the 8th.
years ago.
It's like the 8th one, and which I kind of liked because of the line in it saying, it kind of explains why the leprechaun looks different. It's like, I've been trapped in that well so long, I changed, or I think it was something along those lines. So other than that, they do not have any connective tissue. But what overall, or it's like trying to connect together with the Halloween franchise, which the main timeline has been fractured so many times, it's kind of hard to interweave everything. So it's like, what are you using in regards to this? Are you using the same
TVA, clean up Halloween?
But it's like, what are you using? What expanding what lore? These barrels fell off the back of a army truck in transport, and one breaks open and causes a zombie apocalypse. Or are you continuing it
The
from?
only thing I could see them do with this, in all honesty, if they want to create a universe or a franchise out of it properly, they're gonna have to go back to the beginning. They're gonna have to go back to the very beginning drawing board of the first film, and they'll have to do a remake, a straightforward remake, hopefully not a Gus Van Sant style one, but axe the nuclear ending, axe it, because blowing up what's that place, Louisville, blowing up
Right.
Louisville, Kentucky, just with a nuke. Yeah, I don't see the military doing that. But everything else in that movie could stay the same, where you learn all the basics, and then they could splinter off from there. Because the second one was garbage. I really loved the third one, but Stuart Gordon was involved, so that wasn't going to be fucked up because it's Stuart Gordon. And then of course 4 and 5, those movies were so bad I didn't realize that it had the same actors in 4 and 5. So yeah, if you want a reason to watch them again, watch them back to back, and you'll notice that it's the same actors playing completely different characters.
I think according to Article 4 and 5 were filmed at roughly the same time as it is. So
yeah, but they're playing different characters, and that's got to be confusing. You know, I will say out of both of those nightmarish ones, if I had to prefer one, and they're both garbage, it's like, do you prefer the hot sitting in the sun for 7 days garbage, or this cold garbage that's been exposed for the last 3 days?
I will say
It's still
before,
garbage.
if there's comments in the towel section down below, yes, the same two actors in the first were in the second movie, and the second movie acknowledges in essence, the first movie by
Yes.
saying, because the two characters say, I feel like we've been through this before, and it's treated as a joke, so they know it's a joke, it's acknowledged, so it's done wonderfully. It's there
Like the first
for
one
that.
is a dark comedy, and the second one is a horror franchise, is a horror satire of the film that came before it.
Right.
You know, it'd be like the whole thing with Scream, except then you have Scary Movie immediately follow it. It's not the same universe, they're just making fun of the first film. But regardless, like if I had to choose one of the latter two entries, like Raven to the Grave is one of my better, because A, we got to return a Tar Man. Yes, it's shitty Tar Man, but it's still Tar Man. And two, just the whole concept that the trioxin 345 can be used as a psychotropic drug in a similar vein to ecstasy. I just thought that was kind of an interesting way to distribute it. And the people who become zombies are just those that have a bad interaction with the chemical.
I enjoy. I almost want to watch 3 tonight to go back to it, because I somehow a part of me enjoys 3 as much as I enjoyed the first two.
I love 3. I love 3. 3
because it was a very interesting take. It was very different. It was strictly zombie oriented. You didn't expect much. Just, it was
the Romeo
there.
cliche, Romeo and Juliet
Romeo and
cliche was a bit much, but
it worked.
It worked. It's heavy-handed. It's heavy-handed because
Right.
they didn't change her name much. It's just Julie. And it's like, seriously. But regardless, it's worth watching. It's a good one. I like 1 and 3. If they do a straightforward remake, they really need to pay attention to what worked in the first movie. And the only problem I would see in creating a franchise is the nuclear ending. And that's all I would have to say on that. You could still use concepts of missing barrels being elsewhere, where they got delivered to the wrong place because typical government fuck up.
And that's always what got me. I watched it, I think a few weeks ago. I rewatched 3, not 3, the first Return, and that's what always got me with the endings. It's like, I think it was just a cheap way of, we burnt, like throwback to early in the film, that they burnt the body, or turned the body to ash, and it went up in as a cloud, and everything rained down. They did that as a way to kind of spread everything across that the army fucked up things even worse by doing the nuke, putting everything into the air, and it just spread across the United States, so to speak. So, or they could do something different, or they don't have to do the nuclear option. They could just drop like napalm in regards to destroy something. And
but
again,
destroying a big city like Louisville, it just doesn't seem right. They would definitely have a quarantine and a containment line. And they would either hope for the problem to burn out on its own, or they would send in squads to clean. Hey, there you go. There's your second movie. It's the Resident Evil 2 and 3 that we wish we got on screen.
You gotta figure it. In the original film, no matter what you did, you couldn't really kill them. So it was against the norm of shoot them in the head or bash them in the head and they drop down.
But it
So
was
it
the
was
first instance of brain eating, and a lot of people
right.
don't realize. Yep. So
So
props where props is due. This is good
they
considering the fact that it was originally a script for a sequel to Night of the Living Dead because it was written by Dan O'Bannon, and I can't think of the other guy. They even had a novelization for it, which is completely different than the movie. It's more based on Dan O'Bannon and the other guy's original treatment. It's on the top of my head, but it's one of the other guys that have been running Mary Hobb with the Night of the Living Dead franchise name for the longest time. Like he made Children of the Dead, and that was a horrible movie. Yes, Tom Savini's in it, so mad props, but everything else with that film is just trash.
I didn't like the remakes of the first remake of Night of the Living Dead was okay, but the remakes after, despite who was part of them, actors aside, they weren't that good. They weren't that good.
So,
Honestly.
anyways, since we're on the topic of movies and everything else of that nature, obviously, Nintendo and Illumination, after the success of Super Mario Bros., is basically going to be doing further Nintendo movies, which is nice. They already have one planned for Luigi, which I hope isn't the sequel to Super Mario Brothers, but it's own standalone thing. As weird as it sounds, I would love for them to do a Luigi's Mansion movie where he's busy looking around for his brother, which would be kind of cool. And then, of course, they have Zelda on the docket as a computer animated movie. And out of the two, the one that I don't have the most faith in is Legend of Zelda. Simply because every time we give Link a voice, it becomes a problem. Because the people who have enjoyed the games, they're taken out of it. Because when you play the game, you're Link. And yeah, giving Link a voice in any sort of media, be it a cartoon, live action movie, or computer animated, which is what Illumination would do, you know, it's just going to make a lot of us 80s kids feel the okay princess thing, you know, or
Excuse me, princess.
Princess. Yes, and it does get
You have
it.
And the thing is, you know damn well us 80s kids are going to be pissed if that's not in there. You're going to have a bunch of what, 90 as a joke. You're going to have a bunch of what, 90s kids or millennial 90s kids wanting something in regards to, oh, hey, listen type of ordeal. They're going to want that in there.
It just depends on what story they crib from. Personally, and granted, I know this is a much debated topic, but if it were me, the only perfect Legend of Zelda game is Link to the Past.
Tell you the truth, as a geek and a nerd, I would love original production art from the Zelda series. So I would love to have that. It'd be one of those things on the ranks of costing me as much money as I shelled out for my Thundercat cells, but I'd love to have it. And meaning, folks at home, when I shelled out for the Thundercat cells many years ago, I got 2 of them, and it cost me about $300 a piece. And that's when the market for cells was starting to hit a low, and I got it at the right time. But those particular cells prior to that were going upwards to $600 a cell for the character I want, and that was Chitara. But now getting those Legend of Zelda show cells from the show or production art from the show will probably cost me about that much. But for the moment, I am happy to have both a Mario and a Luigi cell from the original cartoon, one of the original cartoons. And the Mario cell is, sadly, it's not signed by Captain Lou Albano, but it was signed by the current voice of Mario. I think his name's what, Charles?
Charles Martinet.
Charles Martinet. So because he was at AwesomeCon many years ago, and I figured, why not have a cell of Mario signed by the voice of Mario? So,
But the only takeaway I can say is Illumination. If you're going to do a Legend of Zelda movie, it's got to be serious. We can't have the funny like from Minions or from the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It has to be handled seriously.
you could have a few jokes. You could have a few jokes in it, in those nods for the fans, but it has to be, like Sasha said, serious. It has to be taken seriously. Mario doesn't really have to be taken seriously. Or Minions has to take seriously. You could do something. Who's Illumination a part of? Who's their main studio? Is it Warner Brothers or
I think
Sony?
So. It's not Sony.
Who's their main studio?
I can't think of the name of it. I can't remember exactly. It has to be Paramount, because Paramount actually has been distributing a lot of their pictures.
So who owns Ghostbusters? Is that Paramount
Columbia.
as well? That's
That's
what
Columbia/Sony.
company. But still, they could take the example of Ghostbusters, where it's a serious, even Afterlife, where it has humor to it, but overall it is serious. It is,
Yep.
I wouldn't say dark, but it has a serious tone in it. Just some humorous aspects to it. Like,
But
you could,
one of the biggest things I would say is if you want the kid friendly ones, you have plenty of Nintendo franchises that are kid friendly. I could easily see an Illumination Kirby. You know, it's a character that doesn't speak much and likes to eat a lot of things. It's pretty much just rebranding a Minion and turning it into a Nintendo property. You know, that's fine. When it comes to things like Zelda and Metroid,
Zelda has to be at minimum a teen movie, a PG-13, and almost a hard PG-13, mid to hard PG-13.
Or even just a general PG for like just adventure and, you know, just something of that nature.
Like, in regards to the whole hey listen aspect, Link could be on his way from one point to another or go through a town, and he could pass somebody that is doing business, and that's that little fairy telling that merchant, that, you know, citizen, hey listen, sort of thing. That way it's a nod to the game. It's an Easter egg, kind of like what a lot of the Mario stuff did, and it's not in the forefront. It's not constant annoyance. And still, or Link could pass by somebody, and because a lot of times when someone is in a partner relationship, they might consider their partner their princess. So you could Link could again pass somebody, and over here in the background you hear that partner going, well, excuse me, princess. And it's a nod to the cartoon, and the 80s fans will get it, even if those two people that are interacting with that line look similar to how the cartoon had it. That way it's a double nod and a double Easter egg, yet it has no impact or relationship to the current movie at hand. And it's just for the fans. It's just for the fans.
And you could easily make a Donkey Kong Country movie. That would be, we've already established Donkey Kong in like the film series here thus far. But yeah, like when it comes to the more harder Nintendo brands, you're either going to have to take it a little bit more serious or hand it off to somebody else. So I'm going to be honest with you, I would be severely disappointed to see a Metroid computer animated movie. It better be live action, and it better be as close to pushing an R as you can. Or, heaven forbid, they dig deep enough into their franchises and make an Eternal Darkness movie, then get at your girl. I can tell you how to do that and write it. I'm not on you.
Or if you really want to go with it, and Illumination, if you want to go down that road and Nintendo allows it, and you want to go through that whole self-aware aspect, do Captain N. Do Captain N.
Oh yeah. I honestly see them if they do finally do, because I'm thinking this is why Illumination is trying to do as many Nintendo brands as possible, because they want to do a Smash Brothers movie. And that would be a great gateway drug into Smash Brothers. You could just have Captain N show up in the background, kind of like what they did with Dungeons and Dragons, and the cartoon characters show up in like that weird challenge maze thing that they have to go through. It would be a neat little cameo just to see Captain N chilling in the waiting room, for the next bout. Or what's his name? Oh, from the Nintendo Power. Nestor.
He had that bow. Yeah, he had the bow tie or something like that.
Nestor,
They
the
could be
character with
Nestor.
the weird hair named
Yeah.
Nestor.
Yeah,
Bring Nestor back.
yeah. You had that cut.
And that's
That
like a
little.
forgotten memory right there. I just kind of hit
like-
the back of my almonds and was like, "Woo!" Yeah. But
You could
yes,
have-
they could do it. They could do easily a Smash Brothers. They could do a Mario Kart movie. I mean, they've already kind of set up those elements. But when it comes to Zelda and Samus, and again, if they dig as deep as Eternal Darkness, and my sick twisted heart hopes so, because a Nintendo approved and published horror game came out on the GameCube, always excites me. And that game screws with you if you never got the opportunity to play with it. Like, it'll make you think it's adjusting the volume on your TV because your insanity meter went extremely high because you're dealing with cosmic horror, like H.P. Lovecraft style, in a Nintendo game. But yes, indeed. So before we get to the big topic of the evening, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I think we covered for the most of it. So
Okay. Anything else we can save for another episode?
yeah,
So since it's the closing element of the night, some Blobfest updates.
Right.
Basically, as you may or may not know, Blobfest was this past weekend, which was the 14th, 15th, 16th, respectively. So the stage show was real interesting because I know I have a lot of friends and fans that went hoping to see me there, but when you have your tickets completely canceled and refunded outside of your own control of doing so, kind of stifles you from doing that. But when they did the stage show and the run out, and I understand they had to make changes like very last minute to it. They still announced like Miss Blobfest, but all they did is crown the 2020 and 2021 Miss Blobfest that had been part of the Blobfest at home due to COVID. And so they physically gave them crowns. And of course, that caused a lot of people to pause and go, wait, why did they even have a competition? Because there was 5 public entrants. And that we know for a fact that one of them, Jenny Kopcho, was chosen as a finalist. They didn't even bother bringing up her name. And to add to that, we all knew that they were leaning toward Heidi App. And a lot of people go, why did they do that? And I have a theory, and keep in mind, it's just a theory, a Sasha theory. But they knew if they would have announced Heidi App, it would have brought people back to me. And then it would have brought some attention to, well, if your guys already had Heidi App picked out since last year, since she did that You Bet Your Life episode in October, why did you have a competition? In fact, people are already asking that. Why did you have a competition if you're just going to recrown the 2020 and the 2021 winners when they've already received crowns and we're just crowning them for shits and giggles? And it's just such a bad look. So obviously the event still went on despite them claiming and canceling a bunch of stuff on Facebook.
Let me say this.
It's weird.
Yes, I agree. It's weird. The information I got was that because the event, that particular event in the event was canceled and is canceled, according to a lot of sources, permanently. Some of which of those sources are completely blaming Sasha for this, are saying that the reason why they gave those two winners, past winners, a crown was because it was a virtual crown for those 2 years, and they wanted to give them something more physical, it being the, in essence, the what can be considered a last hurrah.
Right.
Take that as
But my argument to that would be, because 2022 was when everything went back to normal. You could still attend. There was still a masking mandate and things of that nature in effect. Seating was minimized. They could have done that at the 2022 events. They chose not to. And to me, that would have been the perfect time to do that, would be, since now we're having a physical event, let's do it in 2022. And what I find funny is that those people in 2022, when they actually had a physical event, already had physical crowns. So again, just very sus, and them trying to keep things hush hush, because obviously Blobfest doesn't want to release an official statement on it, because they know it's going to come back to those DMs that they sent me, which were sus as hell. And they know it's going to come back to the email that they sent me, which was also sus as hell. And then them suddenly going through their history and canceling out events, despite the fact that they still have them.
and the fact that I'm bringing this up to you, or airing this, or airing at least Sasha's side of this. Even though a lot of the attacks have been against Sasha, I'll say that, which makes things a lot more sus. I'm saying this and in front of Sasha herself. So therefore, I am opening up myself to critique from Sasha. Let me say that right now. Does Sasha have a reputation? Yes, she does.
Oh, yes.
And let me say this. A lot of folks have come to me, I'm not naming names, have stated that, well,
probably guess who.
yes, that no one has pushed back against Sasha without getting blocked. Guess what, motherfucker? You're looking at that one asshole. Because exactly. Sasha, how many times have I pushed back against you?
Yep. And usually, and several times, more than once. And that's why I consider you a very trusty advisor. So when things come up, you were one of the first people I reached out to and said, doesn't this seem a little odd and sus to you? And you were like, yeah, that does seem odd and sus, considering, given the background, I did nothing but promote and positively speak not only about my competitors, but also about the event and everything else up until I got those emails and DMs. And the only thing I did once I got those emails and DMs was basically just repost exactly what they said. And if there's a problem with what they said, that's on them. Maybe they shouldn't have said that to me.
And the thing is, I got the replies like, well, yeah, we need a video of it. Like, what's it? In essence, if that person's watching, what's that a video going to prove? That you're showing me everything sewn together? It's, and my question to hit that, you've seen the screenshots. Again, I'm here, Sasha. I know you know, I'm putting myself open to be attacked by Sasha. If you want to go that route, because a lot of folks have said Sasha will attack, that, well, she probably deleted or X, Y, and Z in regards to this. Yet the screenshots I have say something completely different. It doesn't matter if it was screen grabbed or a video. It's different. Somebody is lying. Either Sasha is lying or you are lying. And when the person gets that second message, why do you have that second message? That second part of that message says X, Y, and Z that contradicts the top part. Somebody, in order to say something like that, means you either seen Sasha's post on Instagram, which I shared to him, or somebody shared them with you, and
Exactly.
you replied several hours later. You did not state in any way, shape, or form calling out Sasha that what she had was different. You never said, Sasha, what, in essence, what the hell, what the fuck? You're lying.
This guy
You're
is
lying.
just
I never said that. He's a troll.
This-
He's that. He even, let me put it like this. Yes, if he watches, he's going, or he made it this far in the damn video. He even came to me in regards to this. He started out, and this is a quote, because we're not naming names. So therefore, if he reports this video, YouTube, if you're watching, we never said his name. Never said his name. Though I am going to read what this person posted to me. Sasha knows what he posted to me. I never said his name. It's not harassment. But some could say, hey, shoe fits, wear it. He put out, also, I hope you realize your co-host is dragging you down a negative and completely unnecessary path. Let me put it like this. Dragging me down. Over the past 2-3 months, I've been putting up clips and full episodes of, or reposting full episodes of this podcast, which is mostly Sasha. She's granted me permission to do the reposts and do the clips. I've had more views. And prior to me and Sasha teaming up, doing this crossover, I was in burnout. This is content. I've had more listens over the past month, granted for the past month leading up to
everything else.
Due to the past month, I uploaded a lot of bonus anniversary retrospectives, but it was my anniversary month. So if you take that out, where I went was going from maybe a post or two every 3 to 4 months to a weekly post. That means more downloads and listens on a per weekly daily weekly basis than I was over the past 6-8 months. So dragging me down, where? How?
When?
When?
We only got 2 trolls.
And the thing is, that means more listens, probably more subscribers. Granted, I haven't been posting that many unboxings and events. That's due to my income right now. This weekend, as stated, that I'll be doing a walkthrough of the current Library Comic-Con. Heck, when we had the Pride stuff in our area, I think it was last month or the month before, I did that. I was completely neutral. Hey, where'd I put it? We got in our W package the other day. There is right now, as of this recording, because it's at currently 4:09 Eastern Standard. The video is live on my YouTube. I unbag this. There will be unboxings on this channel again from the Kickstarters I get in. And that's why the funds we get from W, from our Patreon, if people sign up, enough people sign up, if we get funds in our tip jar contest, we do have goals set in mind for that. We will do more unboxings, go to more events. So therefore, bring me down. Due to these clips, they're being posted up. Our older unboxings are seeing more views, whereas in the past they were getting maybe 5 or 6 views. Now there are more people going to those videos than ever, and they're coming to my channel in regards to this. So bringing me down isn't happening. And the fact, let me use your logic. Again, Sasha has a reputation. And if people are coming to my channel because they want to hate watch Sasha, the Princess of Darkness, you know what? Sasha could call it the fact that I'm tokenizing Sasha. Fuck, whatever. Say that. She's more than welcome to say I'm tokenizing. Hey, it's bringing folks to the channel. And
And
it's
you're and you're not tokenizing me. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be frank with you. The only reason a lot of people hate on me is because I've called out problems. The one person that you speak of a good bit, we're not naming any names. They're primarily upset because they decided to work with an actor that was openly racist online, and I had no problem sharing his own words against him to the public. Because again, that's my habit. If you're gonna say some stupid shit, I'm gonna string your rabbit and call you out on it. And if you think I'm gonna disappear, you can block me, or I'm not gonna talk about it, you're full of shit. Because I'm gonna show it. And the only place that these people go, oh, Sasha attacks people. No, no. I only attack people who, if you're gonna drop racist and transphobic and crap at me, that is not cool and should not be accepted. Because most people think I should look the other way. And I'm not built that way, because if I stay silent, I'm just as bad as the oppressor. Silence helps nobody. Silence.
Let me put it this. I think Sasha will probably disagree because it's almost apples and oranges, left and right, what have you. What Sasha does explain that she does is not the equivalent, but it can be compared to libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok pull stuff that they find on from TikTok and reposts that. In essence, sharing light at, hey, look at this person saying this. And libs of TikTok gets hate, saying, how dare this person do this? All they did was, in essence, download, repost. So in essence, libs of TikTok is using those folks' words against them. Sasha is doing the equivalent, or has been doing the equivalent, in essence, on the other side for years. It's this same, pretty much the same damn thing.
Slander. It's not harassment, because even for the legal standards of slander, yes, is something that's spoken. Libel is something that's written, but if it's your own words that are being used against you, the only person you're going to sue for slander, libel, harassment is yourself. And secondly, with harassment, libel, and anything of that nature, pursue it legally, because per the nature of the law, it would have to be a false claim. Every claim that I make, I have evidence, I have documentation, I have timestamps, and I have other people who have experienced this shit.
And the thing is, one of the things I posted up in regards to when I went out and contacted, heck, Sasha's seen the screenshots. Again, she had the opportunity to call me out in regards to it, because I sent that screenshot to Sasha. That did they have the right to refund, claim that it was harassment or bullying or so forth? That was their right to do so, their right to claim that, because it's hard to.
No point ever accused of it.
Right, but it was their right to say, under our standards and our metrics that we had behind the scenes, this fits that qualification. So therefore, it's that. Fair, whatever. If you want to do that, fine. And we have the right, on at least on my end or Sasha's end, to release her side, whether or not they want to contact me, provide me what else was said. Now, let me put it like this. Last year, you had this whole drama between, heck, we covered it on my audio side in regards to the G4 drama and their channel, and how one of their employees, who was a streamer, came out in regards to women in gaming and had this epic rant during one of the live streams. Here's what happened. Again, I posted up in an update. You can find it on Podbean.
Yep. What
happened was, she came out and said, oh, if you want to interview me in regards to this, this is who you need to contact. This is my manager. This is X, Y, and Z. People with the qualifications that or standards she put forward went to contact that manager to get an interview with her. Turned out that was false information she gave out. And when folks did digging and found the correct information, I'll put his person's information out, the quartering. He said, we did digging, we found this streamer's correct manager and so forth, contact info to go get an interview. He said, I was in contact with this manager for an interview with this person. They were all down, and all of a sudden, the day before the interview was set to happen, that I would have released entirely on my YouTube channel, that manager contacted me via email saying, we can't do it. This person's getting a lot of DMs and stuff on Twitter regards to death threats. His response was, fine, Dandy, I'm sorry to hear that. Could you please send me screenshots of those death threats so I could do a video about them to not condone, to disavow people doing these death threats and call these people out. Yep. Nothing. Nada. Nothing. Zip, zero.
Exactly.
And in essence, in a way, I could say that, and at least one person who I have not named at all in this podcast, whether it be audio or video, named that person. They know who they are if they watch. Has claimed like, oh, I'm airing Sasha's side. Granted, I do not have the ability like Sasha to record a 2-3 hour podcast, but I'm down to record a half-hour podcast or go through Skype. If they have Skype you could record, and I'll be able to probably save it on my computer. In regards to post it up on my end, they could talk all about and verbally discuss it. But according to this person and other folks, both me, I'm pretty much, according to this person and other people, Sasha's gaslighting me. Sasha's controlling me. Sasha's manipulating me. Sasha is X, Y, and Z. I'm being an idiot along with her. I'm being an asshole along with her. I'm being biased. Well, nobody else is contacting me, and I'm being accused of liar of saying, hey, this is what's being said out in the public.
And
this is what
anytime you or I have asked for that counterproductive evidence, because I've always given mine, they can't produce anything. There is no evidence of that. And it's like my social media and everything else is public.
And the thing is, one of the things in regards to when I made reference to the other videos are private, I was told, well, they were afraid of what Sasha might tell them or bully them. Then this is what those behind the event should have said. Put it up, and if that happens, send us screenshots. Yes. And as soon as those screenshots came in, they should have sent those screenshots with an email to Sasha saying, hey, we got these in. If you are actually doing this, stop. This is your first and only warning.
I've never gotten a warning.
Right. Or they could have said, hey, this is what we got in, not from this person. Here's the other screenshots from this other person in regards to this. We consider this. I'm just saying, I'm just putting up this example for Sasha. We got this, and this from these people. These are the screenshots. We're considering this harassment and or bullying. So therefore, we're removing you from the event and the contest. Sasha never received anything like that. She just got her email, which she posted up on her Instagram, stating the fact that, hey, due to not just one, multiple people from the Blobfest contest and the costume contest, the event, we're canceling this Mixed Blobfest and we're refunding your tickets. To me, when you read that, it's not one person, Sasha, it is more than one person.
And they're not even accusing me of anything in that letter. They're just
the thing is, everybody is turning their head to one person and pointing at Sasha. Now they're pointing at me. I had no stake in this game. I'm just airing what Sasha has put up.
Exactly.
That's it. In public.
I'm just airing what I was given in DMs and emails.
And again,
and to me, it's like just show your evidence. But they
and let me put it like this.
Probably won't.
Let me just say this. I know I'm sorry that I went on #rant, Sasha, but for those of you that want to go for low-hanging fruit in regards to photos on my show's page, in regards to my show's name, and say how we could be associated with the folks from Columbine. Well, apparently your reading comprehension skills are freaking poor, because my name is different, way different from theirs. And the fact that you went with something so low-hanging, and you completely missed everything that I put up saying we are the internet's most hated mafia-themed geek podcast, you glossed over. Apparently you have little arms and can't reach that high.
Bill T-Rexes.
So
at the end of the day, and this is the one thing that I want to really point out, and I think it's the one reason why the one hater just kind of disappeared, because she literally made the quote, because you got it before even I got it, that they're the first Miss Blobfest. And that doesn't mean anything anyways, because it's not a real or important thing anyhow. Also, this is the same person who more or less told me that even before last year, when I entered, last year, mind you, that I was considered too adult and too controversial for their little festival. It's been nice to know they thought that beforehand. Glad that somebody's telling me now. But that person, since, you know, we've used their own words against them, has suddenly dropped off and disappeared, and good riddance. But their little lackey's still sticking around. And the thing of it is his comeuppance is coming soon enough. So keep it up.
And the thing is, let me just say this. If someone came up to me and said, I'm Miss America, or I'm Miss West Virginia, or I'm Miss, you know, insert state here or country here, I'd be like, means nothing to me. How does that affect me? You're nothing. You're nothing.
But this is a person who literally admits that the title that they started and won is meaningless, and says the whole thing. Kind of says everything. Kind of says
again, I put it
not a real competition, and clearly not when the winners are already pre-decided. I think last episode or anything like, I forgot how far back it was that I mentioned the name Tim Pool. Tim Pool lives in this area. I've personally met Tim Pool. It was in passing. I was respectful. I'd treat Tim Pool just like any motherfucker that comes into my 9 to 5, like anybody. Him being a famous podcaster means absolutely positively nothing. If he came in, started causing trouble, he gets tossed like everybody else. That's pure and simple. Same thing if a major celebrity walked into where I'm at. Doesn't matter. If you cause trouble, you get tossed like everybody else. I'll treat you the same way. You treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. When I met Tim Pool, I respected him. It's like, hey, I respect what you put out. Doesn't mean I have to agree with what he said. I'm still here. I'm just moving over here.
I might respect what Sasha does and puts out. Do I have to agree with Sasha puts out? No, not in the slightest. But I can respect what she does. I can respect what Sasha does. Or what Tim does, or what anybody on the far right puts out. They're putting themselves out there for critique, review, and everything else. Doesn't mean I agree with everything they say. I can agree with their points or where they're coming from. Doesn't mean I agree full-heartedly. But same thing with Sasha. I could agree. I could disagree with her. That's the thing. If she, and I'll say it right here to Sasha's face, if she blocks me, if anybody out, like this person said, I don't want to block you or anything like that. I'm no coward. I never called this person a coward. I'm just saying, if they want to block me, ain't skin off my. If Sasha wants to block me for something I said or disagreed with her about, hey, it's no skin off my pasty white fat hairy ass. None.
The only time that I ever block somebody, and we can have all kinds of disagreements in the world, and that's fine. But the moment that you resort to pure ignorance, like for example, if you were to drop the T slur at me or the F slur at me, or I don't know, accuse me of grooming and, you know, CP, um, yeah, I might take that a little salty. And for that, I'm not even gonna argue with you, because at that point, I know somebody is grasping at straws and just trying to elicit a negative response from me. And so it's just easier to block. It'd be the same way if you went up to somebody that was Jewish and started dropping anti-Semitic slurs. They're not going to take the time to try to educate you. It'd be like walking up to somebody who's African American or of color and dropping racial slurs on them instead of trying to actually have an open and understanding dialogue. I mean, I get some people who want to bait me into rage, but there are just some things that I won't debate on. And if you go drop that low hanging fruit, such as call me a groomer or accuse me of CP or anything of that nature, or, you know, the big P of all, I'm going to block you, because that's coming from stereotypes. That's coming from nasty negative tropes. I'm not going to tolerate it. And that's why when some people get the block, that's why they get the block, because you're going to go after that and accuse me of stuff that's based on stereotypes that if you look through my history and took your time, you would know I don't do. But you're going for low hanging fruit and you're trying to elicit a negative response so you can get a questionable quote from me. I'm not going to give you that power, because at that point our conversation's done. You're blocked. I'm not going to take the time to educate it. You know, it's kind of like the examples I just gave. You know, if you were Jewish and somebody says something anti-Semitic to you, are you really going to try to take the time to educate that person? If you come from a different racial background, are you going to try to take that person who just dropped the hard N word at you? I'm going to tell you now, I had a coworker a while back who somebody dropped the hard R on. And I went off on that person to defend them because they were a hard worker. And yeah, the guy not only dropped the hard work R again, but he also dropped the hard F in regards to me. And yeah, I took it to the next level when I reported it, and it got taken care of. But the thing of it is there's certain things I won't tolerate in debate. And if you go to stereotypes and harmful tropes where it's made to elicit an intentional negative response from me or some actual vitriol, I'm not going to give you that pleasure. I'm just going to block your ass, because A, if you're that ignorant to go to something that's a stereotype or something that's terrible about people like myself, I ain't got the energy to listen to you anymore. I don't have to, because at some point you're not worth educating, you know. And Chris has never done that. Has he had slip ups? Yes. But we've talked it, because that's how I'm built. The people who know me really actually know me. And like Chris will tell you, anytime that we've had a disagreement, we talk it out, we hash it out, because there's a certain way of approaching me. And accusing me of grooming or CP or anything of that nature, I'm not going to try to educate you, because you're just being a stereotypical asshole. And I'm just going to block you, because there's no point in it.
And the thing is, those type of people, what Sasha just talked about, is almost the same type of people that come up in regards to what I've said earlier in regards to my show. And they're the ones that want to, you know, just do that low hand. How dare you? You're associated with, you know, school shooters, mass shooters, so forth and so on. How can you be? One, you came at me completely wrong. That's number one. Like going
We need that
against
clip
Sasha.
with Christopher Walken. You're coming at my man all wrong. Do it again, and I'll come at you with our hair curl.
And the thing is, you came at, instead of inquiring in regards to it and asking me in regards to politely and everything else, you're coming at me, especially the few folks that have come up with a partner, like they're there at the event with a date. And I've started, you know, hey, guess what? You came around, you tried to play FAFO, you decided to play FAFO. Let's continue that. Congratulations, you just won. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the person that I came with and said, hey, if you talk them in here to say that, then you, sir or ma'am, leave their ass, go home, leave now, leave them here, go home, move out. Find a hotel, move the fuck out. You don't need that in your relationship. If you're doing it to get in, and vice versa, you're doing that to get in their between them and their genes, then you go home, move out. You do not need that here, because what you're doing is to make yourself look bigger. You know nothing about me. You don't want to find diddly squat about me. I'm here to promote my show. You could ask me, like, why did you call yourself this? Why this? And as stated in you could find it on my YouTube channel about our origins. My hope was, because the friends of, I'll consider them friends. I'm friends with them on Facebook. They were cops. They still probably are cops right now. And they consider part of the shows cops. It was going to be cops versus the mob. Why not? And it was made to be going, friendly banter between, or friendly stuff between each other. Kind of like where in wrestling you have a heel and you have a baby face. They could be best of friends behind the scenes, but in the public eye, they hate each other with a passion.
They're at work. Yep.
Yet, and the fans eat it up. That was part of my thought process. If you want to hate watch me and Sasha, you're more than welcome to hate watch us more than one. I'll be happy to take your view. Pure and simple. More than happy. I think Sasha will be more than happy to take your view too. If and when she decides to post up her episodes on YouTube.
Yeah, they'll get posted. I'm right now editing episode 12, so I'm only 3 behind, 4 behind, 5 behind, but I'll get there. It's easy enough to. I've got a system now. I've got a template just for the episode, so I can copy paste. Swap.
I mean, kind of what I do with the audio side. I have a template that all I have to do is just drop this, drop this, drop this.
I figure if I can get myself into like a template of editing it and slapping it together, I can at least get this done. But yeah, I'm of the philosophy, most of y'all, when it comes to this whole Blobfest fiasco, most of y'all want to argue, but you guys aren't supporting any evidence with it. I have the physical evidence. I have the screen grabs. If you need me to go back through and get screen grabs from people that I've talked to in the past, you're going to find that nothing negative was said to anybody. It would be more like, hey, great video. Hey, awesome. I loved what you did here. And it would be an all positive,
But watch, you'll have that one person, but you spoke to them. That's harassment.
No, really, it's not. And especially when you're just thanking them and like, hey, it's really cool and blah, blah, blah. That's nothing negative. Oh, did somebody get upset because they once got tagged in a Face of Horror post? Who the fuck didn't last year? I'm not participating this year. I learned my lesson. But last year, who the fuck didn't get tagged in a post to try to get votes? That's not harassment. You just simply hit the untag button. If it's that annoying to you, the unfriend button's not far, and unblock. Hell, I just had that one horror host, Toby, go off on me about a couple things, and I just basically told him, like, well, you know where the untag button is, you know where the unfollow button is, you know where the unfriend button is, you know where the block button is. If these things bug you, do it. And then he's like, well, I was asking you to do it. I was like, you know what? Makes you more of the asshole, because you could have taken the time and the energy that you spent sending me very negative energy messages to actually just take care of this yourself. I said, this is why you're not on a regular channel anymore.
And this is one of the things I told the person that was messaging me. You have the opportunity just to walk away, not listen, not respond to anything I say. But he wants, like, no, I never ran away from anything. I never walk away from anything. Then you're being.
But you don't have any evidence. That's the thing. He doesn't have any evidence.
And you keep coming back, and you're calling me and Sasha harassers and bulliers. In essence, in a way, you're being a hypocrite. You, instead of going, you know what, I'm done, I'm out, I'm walking away from this shit. This is just a circle. Hell, the person that would contacted me before you did, we agreed this is going in a circle. We're both done. There's no winner. There's no loser. We bought.
Also,
didn't declare-
that other person before them, they I think they got advised by their spouse, like, you said a lot of shit you probably really shouldn't have said. And these are people
either
that
way.
are there to screen grab.
Either way, whatever they decide, I never once in that discussion said, hey, I'm a winner, she's a loser. Or in that post, hey, she won, I lost. I said, if anything, a tie at most. In this, I told him, it's like, hey, not once will I say I won this, you lost or anything like that. I'm not declaring victory. Not once did I call him a coward or anything like that. But he's the one, the person that wants to call me an asshole, an idiot, a moron. I'm biased. I'm being controlled by Sasha, the infamous asshole person who drags people down to hell worse than Satan and Lucifer themselves. So,
and it's funny, but the people who say that about me, if you look through the history of everything that I've had to deal with them, you go, so that's why you have a problem. Because at the end of the day, at least in this area, there are people who will literally don't talk to her. And I'm like, the only reason they don't want you to talk to me is because they're afraid about what I may say about them. And them and I have already had it out. They're beneath me.
But I know I'm not Sasha, or I'm not in the same community as Sasha, but there are certain places here in good old Dirtyburg I'm not welcome. I cannot do what I do. If I dare want to record an episode, will I be able to record, the walkthrough and do interviews at the Library Comic-Con? Yes, I'll be able to do that.
Same.
But if I want to do a podcast or help set up a podcast, or heck, for example, Wesley is doing a documentary in regards to people, independent actors like maybe me, had been in something. Not just independent actors like myself who have appeared in stuff in the past, independent actors, filmmakers, podcasters, so forth and so on. He wanted someplace, a central spot to do videos and interviews of people here in like Berkeley County area. And I said, well, I might know at least one or two spots. First spot I went to, library. It was, oh, is it a podcast? Is there money going to be made? It's a documentary. Who the fuck makes money on a documentary? Is it money?
Depends on some of the friends you talk to.
The thing is, he's not doing it to make money at all. He's not Logan Paul. He's not, Ethan Klein. He's not that. He's not making a damn penny on anything. What does it matter? Well, it's because I'm involved in it, and the board of directors of the library doesn't like my pasty white, hairy, fat ass. Nothing I'm a part of is allowed. I can't. I'm not allowed. A good chance if I try to do something at the Apollo Theater, I'm not allowed to do shit there, simply because what happened with the Halloween a few years ago. Sorry. Same shit. And probably some.
And those people run their mouth. And let's be honest, the way they treated you was horseshit.
And again, if you guys that, oh, we're sorry we treated all that. I'm like, you know what? You threw me under the bus. I want nothing from you. Exactly. And with the other folks that were involved, I tried. It's like, I tried to warn you in regards to this person, but no, you didn't listen. You got thrown under the bus too. So I just happened to be the easiest target. So I'm not the only one where me and Sasha are, if not the same boat, two boats that are running side by side.
Yep.
And it's sad. It's said that it has to happen. Yeah, there are some circles that we are welcome in. Thankfully, it's 4-state, and we do have a couple of folks that can vouch for us that we behave, as long as we behave, for one. Number two, as long as we're not causing trouble. or drag them involved, which means if something happened at,
Have we ever done that at 4-State?
yeah, maybe you,
I haven't
but
done that.
but if something, let's say on my end that happened, I'd be going first to those in charge. Listen, I'm going to take this outside because I don't want to drag you guys into this, because I respect you guys too much. I'm taking this outside.
Well, there was a
And
certain cosplay group about what? When was the last con there in Hagerstown? About
what,
2-3 years ago?
4 years ago,
4?
maybe 5,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, there was a certain cosplay group, even though they weren't officially on the docket, they wanted to make an unofficial appearance, all cosplay. And they were told basically, yeah, leave Sasha alone, don't run your mouth to Sasha, and if you do, we keep your money and toss you. Then they're like, Sasha, you let us know if there's any problems. I'm like, can I just tell you now so you toss them?
And some of the other things, touch on other things that we kept getting, flack, me and Sasha flack. Oh, there was no rule in regards to, or policy in regards to videos being allowed to be making public. Let me put it like this. Just because they were not on the book doesn't mean, or available posted online, doesn't mean that they are there. Case in point, if you go to an amusement park, whether it be Knoebel in Pennsylvania, Disneyland, Universal Studios, or what have you, or you go to a convention, whether it be a horror Monster Mania, or a 4-State, or San Diego Comic-Con, or a Baltimore Comic-Con, or an Otakon, there is a policy in place that if you post any photo or video, whether it's as a podcaster, YouTuber, or
We have right
an
to use that
individual,
as advertisement.
we have you holding a press pass or a ticket is you consenting to that. Is you consenting to that policy, pure and simple.
Not only that, but like when you accept a public award in a public forum, which is a giant ass theater that's going to be broadcast all over the net, maybe you don't want to be so private about that.
And let me just say this, because this particular event had a policy that stated whatever photos that are taken at the finals that were on stage, that person could say, hey, we don't want these photos publicized. Doesn't mean someone else that was there at the event could snap a photo, post them online, and guess what?
And that doesn't include video, FYI.
It doesn't include video at all.
And another thing that a lot of people don't know, because I've talked to a few winners, in order to accept that crown, you kind of have to waive that whole right where you can say that I don't want my picture present. That's why they choose as many finalists as they do, because then it goes to the next finalist.
And the thing is, if you say no, they could, again, take somebody's photo from the crowd, use that. And when that person says, hey, I told you you couldn't use it. We didn't use our photo. We used that photo. That wasn't taken by us. It was taken by that person.
Exactly.
So, and they had right to that. They gave us authorization to use this.
Because when you accept that crown, there's an agreement before you do, because you literally have to ride all the way up there and talk to them. And they tell you plain as day that by accepting this, we're allowed, since you're the winner, to get pictures, because you're going to be in a public forum. That's not okay with you. Sorry, have a good day. We're going to give it to the next finalist.
And the thing is, here's the thing in regards to that. You tell that event, hey, we don't, guess what? Good chance the local paper is going to be using your photograph.
Exactly.
What are you going to tell them?
And then about me being too adult and too mature. Per the rules of that competition, the only video that they should be looking at is the videos that you submit for the competition. Yes, I have tons of videos. Yes, I do have a body sense of humor. But my social and my private life, aside from those two videos, have nothing to do or have no bearing on that contest. Because I hate to tell you, there's more than a few winners of that crown that has been on OnlyFans, and dude, God, you should see some of their quotes and some of the stuff they've said online outside of their competition entries. And the reality, the whole family friendly and to adults. I just have to ask this: is it because of the fact that I have these videos that really should have no bearing on your decisions on who and what I am, that aren't entries into the contest, or and I'm just snowballing here. Maybe you guys are regretting that she used the mixed title and are now shocked that actual trans contestants are entering. Because I hate to say it, anytime that a trans or non-binary person enters something, even though you guys try to say you're welcoming, the moment we do it, you guys get a little sketch because you're still in Pennsylvania and people are still ass backwards fucks. And so you're going to have a bit of controversy because we're on the news. We're everywhere. It's going to be a problem. No matter how you slice it, if they win, if they final, if not. And I'm going to think it has little to do with my other content and a hell of a lot to do with what I am.
And I'll say this. I'll be the first to admit this. Right now, someone like Sasha is, and the damned if they do, even anybody that is remotely considering choosing someone from the LGBTQIA+ community.
Just existing makes us a little controversial.
No. It's just that, but hear me out. Right now, anybody, any group or anything like now that might choose somebody like Sasha is the biggest goddamn controversy ever.
Thank you.
Right now, no matter what,
like it could be.
It could be innocent. It could be the equivalent. It could be as far, no matter what your take on Bud Light is, it could be as bad as Bud Light. It could be bad as Target. It could be complete. It doesn't matter. It could be the most extreme.
I like Target and Bud Light. It's great.
Thank you for drinking water. But
there we go. We can have a right-wing propaganda thing for water, and we will increase water sales tenfold.
But it's the aspect of, you could have something that extreme. So a lot of folks, it can be said, and I'm admitting to that, it can be said, a lot of other folks can say, hey, even though we're welcoming these contestants, we can't choose these contestants because look what happened to Target. Look what happened to Bud Light. Look what happened to X, Y, and Z. If we do it, we're going to be attacked. We can't do that.
And that's just a theory, a Chris theory, but Sasha fully agrees.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying the fact that it's extreme. It's like you're going to have
the most likely scenario.
Most likely. Right now, I'm not saying what is happening on the right is, or what's the outcry is the right thing to do, but I will say it's a slippery slope. If someone from the community does get chosen, they're on immediately. Both the organization that has chosen that person and that person is on it's already on thin goddamn ice. You have to watch what you say, how you say it, and everything else. But go
ahead.
But you have to watch, and you say that wrong thing that could be taken out of context. Videos can be clipped. With AI, yes, things can be made to look like something else. Hell, made up tweets have been made, posted to Twitter, retweeted as fact, and people have gotten into trouble over it. So yes, it's an issue, not just on one side, on both sides. It happens. And so therefore, a lot of folks, is representation and diversity a good thing? Yes. Yet it is right now
bring you some attention.
And it's raising a lot of attention. And right now, I'll be the first to admit that both sides have a tendency to eat each other and go after each other.
Yep.
All now more than ever. If anything, look at the whole controversy. If you want an example, fine. Let's do an example. Snow White. Period. Right there.
Little
Snow White.
Mermaid.
No, right now, Snow White. Snow White more so. It's got double issues.
Oh, the CP.
I'm not the person of color. Besides that, I'm not saying she's the wrong choice or anything like that, or anything like that. She could be a wonderful actress, wonderful singer. I'm not knocking her as a person of color, but folks are going to go after the fact that you have this person of color in the lead role and attacking, doing their arguments, and you have the whole other aspect of it's supposed to be Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, yet they didn't use one single dwarf in the movie. And you have folks saying, yeah, they should be tall people. Dwarfs is a insult. And you have folks of lower stature, if you will, that suffer from dwarfism saying you robbed roles for us. We're folks that this would have been the perfect thing for us to do, and you're taking that away from us. You have that controversy there. And not to mention, you have what? Issue. It's a loaded issue. Not to mention, if you want to look, they hired Hugh Grant to be a Oompa Loompa.
Right.
You could argue that point, too. You could have had a whole mess of folks, like.
Will the schnozberries still taste like schnozberries?
Who knows? I'm not one to know, but
I know.
But Sasha could at least understands the point I'm trying to make. You have this issue going around now, and it's just not one side versus the other. You have
the point with this situation, you don't use a non-binary honorific and then welch on trans and non-binary participants. Because as soon as you use that honorific, you basically are saying you're welcome. But the moment any one of them enters, you're going to scrutinize them twice as hard and as nasty before you even met them, because you're worried about whatever controversy might pop up. I'm sorry to say, half the winners that they've chosen, I can find a ton of controversy on if I went looking for it. I just choose not to because it has nothing to do with that competition.
And the thing is, if you want to go back a year, granted, I could accept the fact, and I think I said it in the previous episode, them going with mix instead of miss, and allows it to open to everybody. Me, as someone who identifies as a guy and cisgendered.
A reverend.
Yes, I could do it. Or somebody who identifies as a woman or non-binary. But the whole aspect, it opens it up to everybody. That's fair game. But if that was the case last year, the year before that, et cetera, yet, though, again, I can understand why you might not do it this year because of the current controversies going on with a lot of the major names.
Or last year.
But last year, you didn't really have that. You didn't really
still
have
the
that.
Pressure. It was still there.
The pressure might have been there, but it wasn't this pull the pin and it'll explode. But either way.
But while we're on the topic of too adult and controversial, what year did the MPAA guidelines officially come out? Do you happen to know off the top of your head? I know. Do you know?
I want to say the 60s.
Late 60s, actually. 1968. So I want to bring to your attention a little-known movie known as Dementia, as it was originally released in 1955. It then got reissued by one of the producers of the Blob back in 1957. This is pretty much mostly a quiet film. There isn't a whole lot of dialogue, so they added narration into the 1957 cut, which they called Daughter of Horror. Now you're probably like, well, what's that got to do with Blobfest? Well, pre-1968, it back then you had two versions of movies. You have certified or approved, and then you have ones that aren't certified. Now the difference could be for any number of reasons for a certified film versus uncertified. Sometimes you didn't have to submit prior to 1968 for any certification. You could just submit, it's good enough, and throw it out to the world. That's why you'll see a lot of films that are pre-1968 that basically say X on it, but we both know they're not adult films. They're just certified X, because that's like the British version of that. There's actually a couple Hammer House of Horror movies that are like that.
Or if you see a movie such as like When Worlds Collide, yeah, they might be re-rated as cheap, but they're sometimes considered
when they came
unrated.
Out, they weren't rated. They were either certified or uncertified prior to 1968 if it was a US movie. Daughter of Horror, for example, and obviously Dimension 13 were never certified. Nobody ever sent them into certification because they were just pumping out movies to feed to the drive-ins, because their biggest audience back then were the kids. Because the boob tube came out, why go to the movie theater when I can watch something tiny on my 14-inch screen? Well, that's problem number one. It's on your 14-inch scrreen. You know, we can show you things that you can't see on TV. Because
not to mention, here's the thing, folks out there, especially the younger audience that might be watching it and made it this far. Back in the 1940s and even the 50s, you were lucky to have one TV that was 14 inches. 14 inches, maybe the size of
and
your
it was
laptop.
still black and white.
And it was still black and white. It's tiny. One TV, not where nowadays every room has a TV. You were lucky to have one TV. Your family would have one TV. If you weren't that lucky, you had a radio. Everybody had a radio. Radios were cheap as hell back during that time. Everybody had a radio.
But what you had was your drive-ins and your movie theaters.
You had a lot of movie theaters. Yeah, you had the big equivalent of the Regals or the what have you, the Regal type movies or the IMAX type theaters. But you had a lot of mom and pop two screeners or the local stuff that might be downtown that everybody and their uncle went to. Every kid went to on a Saturday or during after school or something like that. Every kid did that. Every kid. Hey, nickel got you to see 3 hours worth of cartoon. You had a nickel. You saved up 5 pennies for the week and you went to see him, or a quarter, whatever the heck the cost was. It's not today where everybody has a tablet, a phone, or 3 phones. So
but this was the era of gimmicks, where they would have gimmicks, or they would put out what we would not consider, extreme now, but for back then it was considered extreme or horrific, to draw in that teenage audience. Hey, here's a movie to creep out your girlfriend and possibly get her to crawl into your lap. But essentially you had people like William Castle, who went out and actually had gimmicks where you'd have people run through the screen at certain times, or he'd have vibrating seats or things of that nature to freak out the clientele. They wanted to make it a better experience. So we have the nice big screens in movie theaters now, because they're like, yeah, you got that little 14-inch square at home, but you come to the movie theater, it's huge. You're gonna have it all big. You go to the drive-in, you can enjoy it from the comfort of your car. You just pull in, watch the movie, roll up the windows, and steam that puppy up. But at the end of the day, that was pre-certification. It wasn't a concern. Nobody had thought about it. And in about the 50s or so, people were pumping out movies left and right for your drive-ins, for your movies, things of that, for your movie theaters, to make money. And so, of course, basically, Dementia comes out. It gets recut in 1957. They just add some horror, or not horror, but they add a narrator to it so they can put it into cinema so people don't feel ripped off from the lack of the dialogue. They added music and they added some things of that nature. And of course, it still showed as uncertified, because these movies are pumping up left and right. Why are you going to submit it to the film board if that's just going to slow you up from getting your movie out there? So it was uncertified. Believe it or not, technically, even 1958, The Blob is not a movie that has a rating on it. It just says certified or approved, meaning it went through the rigors of everything else. And so it was approved to be shown in theaters and things of that nature. But what was interesting is in that movie, there's a scene where the kids are at the movie theater. It's the classic run out of the Colonial, but they're watching, technically, The Daughter of Horror, aka Dementia. And that is the movie. You see clips of it and some of the dialogue and other things. And it's the film that's
Let me
playing
say
in the
this.
mob.
I did not realize that until Sasha brought up and said, Rev, you have homework to do. And it's something that you don't see nowadays. You don't pay attention to what's on a marquee of a theater. Heck, recently, let me
But
say
they're
this
actually
in correlation,
showing the movie.
but they're showing. And as an example, I rewatched again a few weeks ago the movie Splash on through Vudu, and it's one of the few times as stated on this show many times, I like to nowadays look beyond what's going. It's Splash, who hasn't seen it 15 different times now. So instead of concentrating on what's in front, the two main characters, eyes tend to wander what's going on in the background. And this is the first time I looked beyond the two characters, Daryl Hannah and Tom Hanks. In one of the scenes, they're walking by a theater in New York. What's playing on that theater? Yeah, hashtag. What's playing? Extra and Evil Dead.
Yep. But
I'm like, who
the
knew?
thing of it is there's actually clips of this movie. It's actually shown bits and pieces of it during the Blob and certain movie theater scenes. Now, what's funny is, again, we have one that wasn't certified because they just didn't submit it. Why would you? It's a horror movie. As a producer, you're trying to pump them out so you get as many out in the theaters so you can make some money. So it's just in there in the background. What is interesting is that someone had stated once to the Colonial Theater, and there was even a petition for this, that, hey, wouldn't it make sense, since this was the movie showing in the Blob, why not have this as one of the movies during Blob Fest? It was flat out denied, almost aggressively denied by the Colonial and the Blob Fest staff, because survey says it's too adult and too controversial because of its rating. The Blob doesn't have a rating. It's just certified, whereas Dementia is not certified. In fact, if you want to, on YouTube, I think it's royalty free at this point, and you can watch The Daughter of Evil or Dementia for free right through the interwebs, because it's that old. Now, they're saying that a movie that showed during the Blob that just happens not to be certified, and a movie that was certified but doesn't have an MPAA rating, because these movies both came out before 1968. But this one that appears in the movie that you guys are going to feature all weekend long is too adult and too controversial. That sounds really stupid. I'm going to compound the issue. What was the Blob remake rated in 1988, Chris?
I want to go with the standard answer. R?
It was a hard R because of graphic depictions of violence and dissolving and things of that nature. You want to know what's funny? The original Blob had that type of stuff in it too, but a lot of that stuff was excised due to, I guess, the filmmakers didn't like it and cut it out, because there's a scene where Steve McQueen is rushing to check on the old guy that they brought into the doctor, and he sees the doctor getting absorbed through the window as he's beating on the window. Now that's deleted out of the original film. That stuff was recently found and recovered. And would you happen to guess where it was found and recovered at?
Let me guess, some guy's basement or garage.
No, it was found in a basement, but at the Colonial Theater. And there was a big deal and a big stink about it. And they've actually shown that footage and have had it available, which would kind of put it onto the same uncertified bar as Daughter of Horror, or AKA Dementia. And so why is this a big deal, Sash? Well, to judge me for everything I do online and all my crazy antics. I'm not talking about the ones you have to pay for, but the ones that are on YouTube and anywhere else. You know, they don't go any harder than an R, but they have nothing to do with my two entries, because my two entries are, if they're a hard anything, they're a hard PG, which is well within the rules. But my social life, I'm a little bawdy. I'm a little racy in my commentary and things of that nature. So I would personally give myself, if we're looking at my life in a scope, a hard R, but those two entries, no. But it's awful funny that both I and The Daughter of Horror, a movie that appeared in the Blob, are too adult and too controversial for Blobfest. And that's the first Miss Blobfest herself. You still with me here, Chris?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just getting caught up, in regards to everything, just in case something dropped that we could add to this. But still, it's interesting in regards to it. Yeah, it's the equivalent, or one could say, do as we do, but not as we say, sort of speak.
You found the excised footage from the Blob that's controversial and was made a big deal about it, and you've shown it, but you won't show The Daughter of Horror. And someone like me is too controversial and too adult. Please. Yeah. So anyways, you were saying?
So what do you mean, as I was saying? No, just that I was just checking things just in case things went down. Nothing, just I saw that you mentioned me in a comment, and I was just responding, just to that post in the comment.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to throw you more work, but we were just talking about the WGA and SAG.
Right. Nothing. It's just that it's something. It's more promotion for the show and all that. It's just I'll have to see how things go.
We'll keep you updated, but this is not going to become a regular feature. We're eventually going to nip it off at the hills. There might be a toy review that comes up very, very shortly and very, very soon. Probably toward the end of August, beginning of September, but it's coming, Chris. It's coming. And I want you to be a part of it. I think it'll be hilarious.
Now, let me just say this. Excuse me. Because we are not one to shy away from drama. If depending on when it gets received in my hands, because it might arrive by the end of August, early September. As stated in previous episodes, I have a order coming in through Kickstarter in regards to me kind of also being a Dungeons and Dragons, a fledgling Dungeons and Dragons geek and nerd. One of the things I picked up from Kickstarter almost 2 years ago, it was a set of dice, premium dice called Dragon Eye dice, and it was supposed to be like centered, like Dragon Eyes centered in dice, and you get it like a dragon's egg, and everything's in a bag. Stay tuned for an unboxing it here, but if Sasha allows, I might do a brief summary when I get it. But on this podcast, I'll go into a little bit of more of a deep dive in regards to the drama and issues many folks are having with this product, because granted, it's just that the squeaky wheel or the drama is being raised more so than the non-stuff, or I should say the problems are being more raised than the non-stuff. So until I have my order in my hands, I cannot vouch, or though I have photo evidence, I would rather get what I ordered in my hands so I could say so personally how true it is, or if I'm counted along with the many folks that are experiencing issues, if Sasha understands that.
Oh yeah,
because I don't that. Because I don't want to elevate in regards to the drama that other people are having, even though it, according to the organization behind this Kickstarter, they're willing to replace and kind of rectify any issues. I want to see if I have the same issues before commenting on them. That way it's like, hey, These are the issues. Do I have them? Don't I have them? Here's the photographs. Here's what I got. Here's the video. And I get to talk to it on this platform. So,
Yep, and we totally do allow that. But otherwise, as I like to say, unless Chris has anything that he'd like to add, that's the show.
the only thing I got to add is I'm a gamer and I'm wearing a bikini. I dare you to prove it.
Speaking of that,
Or
yes,
should I
if we
say,
do-
I dare
if
you
we
to
do-
make. I dare you
if
to
we
make
do
me
hit
prove
that
it.
goal, if we
Mhm.
do hit that goal, I've already bought mine. I will gladly join in on this. We'll have a bikini podcast.
So I will do it. I swear to God, I do it. Tip jar is in the script, depending on what platform you find this on. The links to the tip jar is down below. It is a GoFundMe link. It's one of the most secure places I can choose and I trust more so. Nothing wrong with PayPal, Cash App, and anything like that. But since a lot of scammers use PayPal and Cash App or Venmo, unless if it was someone like Sasha saying, I'll Cash App you something, and it was actually Sasha or a friend of mine that I could trust, yeah, I'll download Cash App. But other than that, I will not do it. I will trust only GoFundMe or a site similar to that, but not PayPal or anything like that. And for those of you watching, it's like, hey, I don't trust GoFundMe, but I know you because I've known a couple of people and they're like, hey, I don't really trust GoFundMe. If you want to hand over a couple of bucks and support the channel, you can do that. Heck, if you want, there's always Patreon and W.
Yep.
So there we have loads of. So if you don't want to go those routes, but still want to toss $1 or $2 our way, helps the channel. So either way,
Exactly.
So Sasha,
But for me, if you want to help support me in general, I got the OnlyFans. I'm not big on Patreon, GoFundMe, or anything of that nature. So feel free to join OnlyFans, and I always offer new members a discount. There's a discount running now for the next couple of months. Just find the links on my social media. But outside of that, just keep watching, keep liking, keep commenting, keep unliking some of you people who will have dislike. So go right ahead, keep doing that. It just helps the algorithm. Most importantly, obey. So takes care, and until next time.
and remember, I'm a gamer and I'm wearing a bikini.
All right. I'm trying to get this recording to stop. Give me a second.
Stop is somewhere.